UFC 181 is in the books, but more importantly today, so are 99 other episodes. It's time for Verbal Tap's 100th. I am your host, Kevin. With me, of course, Raph Esparza. Raph, happy 100th to you, sir.
And to you as well, sir.
Thank you. I busted out the birthday bottle of Jack Daniel's Single Barrel for the occasion. I know. That only makes you probably half nervous, right?
Actually, it wouldn't be any different than the other 99 episodes. I almost feel like if we take you off the sauce, then it might make the show weird, so I guess I'm for it.
You heard it here. Raph's producer side cannot
It's
outweigh
not an endorsement.
the
Just
other.
make sure, not an endorsement. Just, yeah. But that's great. This is good stuff. I love putting this episode together. Much like you guys may remember our 50th episode, we had some friends call in, leave us some nice messages.
Yeah.
This is like a culmination of a whole bunch of things that we've worked on. So we just want to make it a light, fun time for you guys. And I don't know. Let's see what our guests have to say today.
In addition, let's preview our guests. We have Karyn Bryant on the podcast today.
Amazing.
I'm just busy grinning ear to ear while I say that out loud.
Sure.
We also have Bruce, the Instrument Buffer. How am I doing selling that nickname?
I don't oversell it.
Okay. I also had Bruce B Note Buffer for like a note thing, like, because I want to glorify his vocal instrument. But I was going for alliteration also, but like a fighter short nickname.
No.
You're saying keep working? That's
I'm
what
saying. Let's move on to our other guests.
Of course, we're bringing back Bubba the Menace McDaniel. Wouldn't be an anniversary podcast without him. And you and I, Raph, have put in a lot of messages to our friends within the podcast community, people we've talked to, people we're close to leave us voicemails, as you mentioned. I think this is going to be an amazing podcast. But there was also some other thing about a song and some guy you met from Decatur. Is that
some
real?
Weird dude. Yeah. I don't know. It's some yokel, I think.
Okay. So there's a boozed up guy from Decatur, Alabama that plays a song for us, but we'll obviously get to that. By the name of Brandon McCatherine. Do people know him from his internet beating up of that wrestler one time?
I think only 500,000, but that's only a fraction of what we clear here on the podcast. So
obviously.
Yeah.
So we wrote down some of our favorite moments of the past 99 episodes.
Yes.
Are you prepared for me to share one?
I'd love for you to share some because I'm surprisingly intrigued to hear what stuck out to you.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I just put infuriating Raph. Just the concept makes me giddy. But I'll go to the next one, which is the 1 minute Ultimate Fighter review that never went 1 minute.
That's not true.
That's not true. Okay.
Absolutely not true.
So as long as we're not admitting that, but that was my big first one.
Okay.
I put next the 204 insults to wrestling I've made, ... mostly as a joke is what I have written here.
No, the thing is a lot of people can't read between the lines, and I'm going to go ahead and speak for you, Kevin, is that when you are criticizing wrestling, you mean it deep in your heart. That kind of deep in your heart where you think the only way to really challenge and prove you wrong is to continuously have wrestlers come at you and challenge you to wrestling matches.
Well,
I think that's what it is.
You brought what you could while I was in L.A. There was plenty of wrestlers and MMA fighters attacking me, so points.
Oh, that's just a handful.
Points
we've got plenty more.
Okay, perfect. The next one I have on is all the times I interviewed GSP. And obviously I put in quotes like Raph is GSP. ... I mean GSP.
I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure that was all GSP. I just was always weirded out that it happened when I walked out of the room. I think that time was strange.
And I apologize. I should have coordinated it better. It was just always like, oh God, Raph's gone, but I've got to interview GSP. The time is right. And obviously it's weird because you've never walked out on another moment of the podcast.
No, I don't walk out the podcast.
You've ever left. It's crazy. Next, I have referring to Colorado as the Pakistan of the Midwest, and that just being a statement I made, letting it go.
Go find that nugget if you so deem it. There's only 100 episodes to narrow it down to.
99, because obviously I didn't say it in this one.
Or does it happen on this one? Listen in to find out.
Oh, God, you're good at this. That time when Joey Coco Diaz said to me verbatim, "I don't even have time to wash my pussy," to me at an open mat. It wasn't on the podcast, but it was because of the podcast that conversation happened, and I'll never forget it. Plus, I love him. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have pitching my MMA/jiu-jitsu finishing move entitled The Rodeo to 10 fighters, and none of them really thinking it was a good idea.
All of them giving you the time to air your idea, but none of them going as far as to take it seriously.
Not a single one. Raph and I are trained in understanding a little bit more about context and what people mean and like using their tone. And it was like every single time we were like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." Like with that voice, it was like, why don't you shut up? Because that's a terrible idea. So, message received, and I can't wait for the next 100 to keep pitching that.
I love it.
I have just how much I always lose at picking UFC pay-per-view events. No need to go over that. I think everybody's accustomed to that.
That could be my favorite. I think it is one of the most consistently hilarious aspects of this, that for a podcast where people listen in for MMA analysis, one half of the podcast is concernably terrible at picking fights.
Really bad at it.
Yeah.
Next, when we started the podcast with Kit Dale, only to be interrupted when his order was delivered at Jamba Juice. And I have an epilogue. You kept referring to Jamba Juice as Jombies for the rest of the podcast.
Oh. No, I mean, you want to get some joms?
Joms. That's what you were referring to.
It's all about the joms, bud.
Perfect. When I brought up making an all-MMA soccer team for the World Cup as a 2-minute beginning of an episode bit, and Raph spent 45 minutes thinking about it seriously. He even chastised me about not giving him more of a heads up.
Because you don't do that to brown people. You don't introduce soccer leisurely and say, "Oh, I guess, only thousands of people are going to listen to this, so I guess just make up a list of people." I'm like, no, there is a good crossover of people who played soccer, and I will not misrepresent myself.
Yeah.
Unlike some people on this
Lesson
podcast.
learned. Lesson learned on meeting Carlos Condit and only slightly terrifying him with my eagerness to start his fan club.
That was terrifying. If there's ever been a moment where I've really shined, I think that's one of them. Because Kevin stumbled like an idiot in front of Carlos Condit, and I had to go up to him and I go, "He's in love with you.
Yeah.
You want to do an interview? It'd be funny." And Carlos is like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it."
But
Kevin,
remember. I was giggling.
of course you don't remember.
Girl.
You were too busy trying to formalize words to be like, "You fight, and I like it."
You fight, and I like. I wish I could have gotten that much out. That would have been helpful. At least that would have mildly explained my behavior. You're gonna like this next one. That time Raph and I pitched tag team matches at Metamoris, and both Samir Chantra and Clark Gracie were completely in.
Absolutely,
they were 1,000% in on the idea.
And pissed that we didn't think it really existed, which tells me there's a subculture of jiu-jitsu that we're just not allowed to know yet. But when we find out, it's going to be awesome, and we're going to make it even better. So,
that'll be great. Next, I have that time I asked Keenan how to beat up my friends, and he showed me on camera with the most terrifying move possible. And if you haven't seen that video, it's our first interview with Keenan at the World Expo after he beats Lucas Leitch. The look on my face, Raph can attest, I'm not a good actor.
No.
Like, he took over and started to demo a move, and it was like, oh, fuck, I messed up.
It was a mic choke, I think is what he dubbed it.
Yes, yeah, he called it a mic choke. He's so fucking clever, Keenan. And he's so hot right now. That time I got Vinny to agree he'd definitely armbar me if we trained together.
These are all like, it's so funny. Like I can picture the exact episodes. I can remember exactly where we were, and it's strange to have those abilities to kind of take a second and go, man, I remember where I was when Keenan threatened Kevin's life.
I was there.
That was a great moment.
That was a great moment. That's all. That's all of my moments. I got my 14 in.
But you had 14? I thought you had 15.
The 15th was never giving Brandon the song that I owed him, but we've covered that, so I just thought we'd,
I mean, you're going to give it to him, yeah?
I've actually been recording some today. It's just,
okay.
I got to let it bake. He's good. I've got to let it bake a little bit. You can't, go running up to a black belt with just a Kimura in your pocket. You need a few more submissions, is all I'm saying to the crowd.
If you just say a Kimura in your pocket?
I don't. Come on. Are we going to start following my metaphors now? Is that really the time?
I guess if we're really looking for, some of my favorite moments, that could probably go up there too. Kevin making up metaphors that don't work. It's a consistently hilarious part of the podcast.
I'm going to need you to be a smidge more specific, I guess.
Oh, I don't need to be specific on that. I think you can tune into the very first 5 minutes of any episode, and you'll hear it.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who collectively shook their head yes in their car right now.
Anybody who's remotely listened to one episode is probably like, yeah, probably. Yeah, I could see that.
Hard metaphors sometimes. Like, not all the time, just goddamn some of the time. Sorry, go ahead.
I think, if we're picking out stuff, I remember doing the first 1 minute review and thinking, like, is this going to work? Is this going to, what are we doing? And then it just became so much fun, and I think that parlayed into another favorite, which was getting called out by Bubba. Like, it's not just that you're writing these jokes. You forget when you put these jokes out in the world and you tag somebody, oops, they can hear you.
Yeah.
And that was something that was fun. Like, Bubba wasn't just being a bad sport. I mean, he actually got in on the joke, and he ended up being our best guest. I mean, he's been somebody who's been with us since day one, so it'll be cool to talk with him and do that. I remember, oh my God, I remember our first interview with Rafael Lovato Jr. and just losing our shit because we had a black belt who vaguely was like entertaining what it was we were going to talk about. It's like,
you and I also were like deep in our jiu-jitsu passion. Like, we had at the time we interviewed him. And I know it sounds crazy to even contemplate, but jiu-jitsu, the sport, has exploded another 250% since that first time we talked to him. And at that time, it was just like there just wasn't anyone better.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu, he was it. Like, he had just won the Brasieros and is an American, and it was just like, okay, well, fuck, what else could he do? And we're starting to find that includes beating people up in the MMA cage. But absolutely, that's a great memory. You and I were excited about that one.
I mean, we kept him on, and we kept asking him questions. And I thought at some point he was going to turn to us and be like, all right, guys, I'm never talking to you again.
Yeah, but that's your hour and a half for 2 years.
Yeah, no shit. Never look me in the eye and say hello. And he's been nothing but good to us, too. I remember
two of his black belts.
That's right. I mean, I like to think we have a good kinship with Team Lovato. There's a lot of the guys who have been very supportive to us. A lot of our fans come from that. I remember the first time I got to report at Metamoris. That was a thing. Jesus. Metamoris 2 is when I went to go for the first time. And even though that felt like ages ago, I got to go with John Evans, who you guys know is a big part of the podcast as well. And getting to report on that live with John was really cool. And I think the beginning of a really good dynamic between myself, John, and Kevin, because we learned that Kevin could be super jealous at any given time.
I'm jealous right now just talking about it, if you want the truth.
Yeah.
Getting a little angry thinking about BJJ Breakdown. Smiley-faced blonde John Evans.
All-American, Captain America, John Evans. I think that was fun. I think the other thing, so Kevin started this thing really, really early on in trying to just make NBA references all the time for unnecessary reasons. There's an episode, to my annoyance, that is entitled Verbal Tap, James versus Sonnen. And we didn't have a guest that day, and Kevin was really happy that Chael was telling a story about LeBron James, and so he named it that, and that infuriated me so much. But Kevin knew that would infuriate me. So in turn, I've done this where I've dropped so many pro wrestling references, much to Kevin's anger throughout the podcast, that he can't even keep up with them. And half the time he doesn't even know they exist.
Both accurate statements. I can't track them and I don't know what they mean.
And the best part is like Kevin has become a reluctant kind of guy in this world now. He was just visiting out here for a few days, and he had to pay up on a bet that he lost. And what did you have to do, Kevin?
I had to watch Bret the Hitman Hart versus Sean. Shit, hold on.
Keep going. You're doing it.
I know who this is. It was their 1992 ladder match.
And his opponent was
Sean something. Bret Hart won. I learned a lot about Bret Hart, including the Montreal screw job.
You're doing so well. Like you're like 88% passing grade right now.
Awesome.
But his
Sean,
opponent.
I even remember he had that woman who was his helper.
And what was her name?
I can't remember.
All right. The reason why this is so hilariously funny to me is Kevin kept mentioning Bret Michaels. Where's Bret Michaels? I want to see the Bret Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. Oh. Damn it. Yes.
I said, you want to see the guy who was the lead singer of an 80s rock band who now has the diabetes in a match? Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's go ahead and get you that one queued up right now.
I did. Well, I would have seen it. I'm just saying.
Other stuff, getting Tim Kennedy on the same week I was out in New York was huge. I was doing a late night writing program, and I didn't know if we'd be able to do both the program and this, but Tim Kennedy was so agreeable, and it was like a really cool thing to do, to be like, hey, everybody, cool, I'm at this late night writing program, but I got to go talk to Tim Kennedy, too. Yeah. Okay, deuces, bye! It was super fun.
People are like, Tim Kennedy, the badass mixed martial arts fighter? It's like, yup, that's the guy. Gotta go talk to him.
That was funny as shit. There's just so many great episodes or just talking with people, that just makes me laugh. And getting to do some of the live reporting has been a blast too. Getting to go cover UFC 162, 168, 169. Those were huge and fun experiences, and getting to co-work with the guys from MMA, Knit. Another huge one was probably talking to Hickson. I don't understand how that ever came to be. Yeah. But that was huge. That was a big thing for us, and it was
a
really
credibility pillar for the podcast.
Well, not that we needed it, right?
Oh, well, I was going to go the other way. It's like when we couldn't have needed it more.
Okay. Well, I guess, you can have them all. Speaking of Metamorphs, I think one other thing that we did really well, we put people on and we would have one guy cover each match, and it's become a staple that we do on the show now. But the first time we did it, I could just hear it and I go, this is cool. This is something that's a little different. So I really liked having that.
Yeah.
And it's always a cool excuse to talk to our friends and hear what the hell that is going on and what they thought of those matches. So I think that's really cool as well. But yeah, those are a few if I were to come up with a couple. But Amazing. I will tell you this, Kev, and I don't know if you know this. So the first time we did the show, yeah?
Yes. Okay.
What was your mindset on when we were first doing the show?
It seemed like more of you and I had agreed it was like, let's do a 10 cast experiment. Let's see how we feel at the end of 10 podcasts, and then we were going to kind of reassess. So I felt very inexperienced.
I remember distinctly talking with Kevin, wasting time at my job, as I would like to do.
As we both would like to do.
Absolutely. We had just been talking about the podcast so much that we had gotten to this point where we just were realizing I like doing stand-up comedy. Kevin likes doing stand-up comedy. But I don't want to travel all the time and do stand-up. So I was like, how do you bring people to you? If only there was like a way that you can make people listen to you. And then they just kind of hear you do. Oh, that exists? And so Kevin and I independently just had two very different ideas. I had done comedy podcasts as a guest, and he was thinking about doing this. And we just both mutually kind of said, do you want to do this? And I remember we left it. Kevin's getting off work, and I'm like, so are we actually recording this? And Kevin's like, yeah, I guess. Let's
give it a try.
Let's do a thing. And I swear to God, so we did a test episode. Do you remember that?
I absolutely remember that.
Okay. What happened to that test episode?
That's no one's business.
That's no one's business?
I mean, I have them. I have every episode logged in our Verbal Tap backup drive. And we've got, because there are 2 or 3 lost episodes that people don't know about.
Sure. Oh, yeah. If only they want to know, you got to subscribe to the Verbal Tap Insider magazine.
We've always known about the vault. As soon as we connect in, you're welcome to ask for those and get them in a post-release. But that's going to be a very special event. And
absolutely. But the funnest part for me is I remember calling you, and we were on the phone. We didn't know a goddamn thing about sound issues, so I apologize for the people who listened to the first 20 episodes. Oops.
Also, thanks for sticking around despite all the sound issues.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that would be enough to turn some people off, but you guys grew and told your friends about it, which is really nice. But there's this great moment where, I don't know if Kevin knows this, I actually was driving, I was watching football, and everybody's like, what are you doing? You going to watch the next game? And I was like, nah, I got to go, do a lame thing. I got to go record a podcast or something. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this works. And I actually went to the Tonight Show studios out in Burbank, and I went into the Leno studio, and I brought my laptop in there. And the first episode that you guys heard is me recording that with Kevin from that studio. And I like that it combined my interests of entertainment and MMA. And I knew right then and there, I was like, there's something to this. This is going to work because I can combine my love of telling jokes and my love of MMA. And the thing that really stuck to me that made it work was, Kevin and I we're very different, but we see the same on how it can work and how it can work in a funny way that's different than everybody else. So every time you guys show up, it's like an encouragement. It's a reminder that we do something that's completely out of the ordinary. So that's really cool, and I thank you guys for just sticking around and listening to us. So I hope that we have an episode that's worth your time today. I'm pretty sure we do.
Definitely today.
Yeah,
I'm not going to use the definitely word frequently, but definitively today.
Let's stick with that.
Let's say short-term goals. Also, and this is the part that I enjoy hinting at because people are like, how'd you start the podcast? It's like, well, you and I had also gotten up to a solid where we were already having about 2 to 3 hours worth of conversation about training and fights.
Yes.
That was happening already.
Yeah.
And that was also part of it. It was like, maybe we should be recording this because we were doing our best to make the other person laugh using a lot of Chael Sonnen metaphors, and your GSP has always been on point since way before we started the podcast. So there was a lot of that, and hopefully people are enjoying that parlay into 100 episodes. We're about to roll tape on the rest of this episode.
Let's get to it.
Some voicemails, followed by some badass interviews, mostly because the people we're interviewing are super cool. Followed by more voicemails. Followed by, you can fuck yourself if you want any more. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, of course.
Hey guys, this is UFC fighter Tim Kennedy. I just wanted to say congratulations on your 100th podcast. It was an honor and a privilege to be on the show. You guys are hilarious. Thanks for keeping us entertained and lightening up a brutal sport. So big fan. Always will be, and thanks for everything. Talk to you later.
Hey, what's up? It's Adam Hunter. Just wanted to wish you guys congratulations on your 100th episode. Thank you for having me on your show. I had a great time. You guys are great guys, hilarious. And thanks, guys. Adam Hunter from MMA Roasted. Thanks for having me on your show. Congrats on the episode. Take care, guys. Take care. Bye.
Hey, guys. This is Rafael Lovato Jr. Just giving you guys a call. Wanted to leave you a message and tell you congratulations on your 100th episode. Really appreciate everything you guys do for the jiu-jitsu community, delivering some great content to everybody, interviewing many of the world's best. I always have a great time when I'm on there talking to you, and I wish you guys all the best for 2015. So congratulations, and keep up the great work. Take care.
I didn't know it was a comedy podcast.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
Verbal Tap fans, you're going to definitely know our next guest. We're celebrating 100 episodes in a real, sort of a great way for Raph and I. We have on the line Karyn Bryant, who's basically the first lady of MMA hosting now. Karyn, are you comfortable with that title?
Sure. Why not? Thank you.
I think you got that status after the interview with the guy that taught Anderson Silva to do the kicks.
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal, thank you. Yes.
You know what? I actually love talking to him. Like, I know people think he's a goof, and you know he kind of is.
How dare you.
But but what I love about him is if you are sincere with him, you know, if you just really talk to him as if he does matter and stuff, like, you get gold out of him. I feel like a lot of people talk to him with like sort of a wink and a nod and like, isn't this funny? I'm talking to him, and I don't know. I feel like if you were just like 100% sincere with him, you get great stuff, you know. I really actually love talking to him.
I don't blame you, and the producer in me hears what you're saying. But also, do you give yourself enough credit for keeping a straight face when he says he doesn't keep track of space and time? Because you're basically the interview that launched a million memes with him saying, I told Anderson Silva to make that kick.
Right.
And then he made that kick.
I guess it's because I used to do more entertainment reporting and stuff and anchoring before I got into sports. And so I'd actually interviewed, you know, like a ton of celebs before and that kind of thing. And I think I must have been well trained to understand the ridiculousness and just flow through it and stuff. But I mean, yeah, my internal monologue is like, oh my God, seriously, dude, like seriously. But of course with Seagal too, the other thing is that I'm looking at him, and every now and then he would kind of check out the girls, and I'm like, okay, back up here, focus up here, we're talking.
Finger snap.
Yeah, so he, you know what? Yes, he's not he's, believe it or not, I'm sure there's somebody I've spoken to who's been more been more outrageous than he is, but I don't know. It's gold. He's gold.
Your ability to keep a straight face should garner you all of the MMA Emmys. So know that when they create those, you'll probably be the first to get them.
They have the MMA awards.
They do, but that's not an Emmy. We're going to get
Emmys.
Emmys.
Yeah, well, the MMA awards are sort of funny. It's just like, hey, look at all the guys that work in the business. And then, you know, I don't know. And then there's ring girls. Like, I don't know, whatever. I'd rather, yes, win a real Emmy. Not to take away from, you know, the MMA awards, but you know, I want a real Emmy.
I will tell you this, as you are kind of alluding to here. It is definitely a mention of like, oh, cool, where are the women who report? Yeah. Not that they're part of the sport and fight or anything. Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah, okay, cool. Whatever.
You and Kenny Florian are the only two by my last count.
And by my count, you use way less product in your hair than Kenny.
I was going to say.
I do, and I want to clear this up because the diva of the show is definitely DC, followed by Kenny, followed by me. Like, I'm the lowest maintenance one there, which is really messed up. But it's great. It's actually hilarious. But DC, I love DC because DC is the guy that when he walks in the building, like everybody knows. There's no lurking. There's no quietly entering the building. You know exactly when DC shows up. It's great. It's great. We have a good time.
I would like to ask a qualifying question. When you say you hear him walk in, is it just because he's loud? I can say that.
Yeah, he walks around.
But not only is he loud. He also has an accent, and I think he's become your guys' version of Terry Bradshaw because sometimes he'll just make a metaphor about living in the country that, you know, it's a journey. And again, testament to your ability to keep a straight face, but it seems like you guys have the best time on that show.
We really do. I mean, that's the thing. Like, he does that when he comes in. He's yelling down the hall if he sees somebody. He goes, "What's up?" Or it's like Kate when he walks by him getting makeup. It's KB. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen on his Instagram or I forget. We've shared some, but like he's in there doing Phil Davis's hair while he's got his own do rag on. Like, he's a goofball. Wow. He's a goofball, and we love him. But yeah, when we're on those shows. The thing about DC is his he just loves to throw people under the bus. Like that's an Olympic sport for him. He could do that full time as well. And so like you're literally interviewing somebody, or you're on Skype before maybe before you're on the air with them and you're talking. Or he's done this to me on the air, like after Johnny Hendricks beat Robbie Lawler earlier this year. And I love Robbie Lawler. Been a fan forever, and I like Johnny too. He's a great guy. But we literally are interviewing him live on the air after he wins the fight, and I'm talking to him. I do some questions that go over to DC, and DC's like, "Yeah, Johnny. By the way, Karen was rooting for Robbie the whole time." But anyway, so then I'm like, "Oh my god." Oh my God! And then it comes back to me, and I'm like, "Yeah, hey, how's it going?" So anyway, DC's full of crap, and but like, dude, you can't do that. And he does it to us a lot. It's actually like sometimes it's funny, and it's cool if it's funny, but we know it's coming, and so now we've like readied ourselves for the fact that. So literally, sometimes we get on the Skype, and then we're like, "Okay, don't listen to anything DC says." He's ridiculous. He came up to me and Kenny in Vegas over the 4th of July. He goes, yeah. So listen, there might be a video on YouTube of me telling Chris Weidman you guys both picked Lyoto. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, just a little heads up. I was like, oh my God. So that's DC. That's who you have to. That's what. You gotta always be ready.
He's huge, which is a helpful. Like, he's a very terrifying guy. So this is a good other side of him that he also stirs a lot of shit on the broadcast.
Oh yeah, no, he's like a prankster. Good, like he just loves a good time. You know what I mean? He's a lot of fun to be around. Like DC's one of those guys that you feel good when you're around him.
And as you're alluding to, and this is something that we were clamoring for because we've been watching the UFC and mixed martial arts for a while, and it was always like it would be really great during a lot of these interviews if they did have a professional, and now you've stepped into that role. How difficult is it, what kind of a blessing is it to be the professional trying to wrangle, because these guys are usually MMA fighters you're dealing with. They're trained in the arts of mixed martial arts, maybe not diction and camera angles or follow-up questions or metaphor use. What's it like to be the professional sort of handler as you're trying to get through those live segments?
Yeah, it's I love that I've been entrusted with that, and I like that my boss, describes me as the smart one sometimes. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, so no disrespect to the other guys, but like, I like that. I like being entrusted with, being the one that keeps the train on the track and stuff. But, it's funny. These guys really, like I was telling Gilbert Melendez the other day, the reason that they're successful and some of these guys do so well just because they are themselves. And that's what people can relate to. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes in my mind when somebody's like, yeah, him and I used to train together, I'm like, oh, dear God, please don't say him and I. Like, so like there is a part of me in my head that's like a little bit of a grammar Nazi that sometimes kind of goes, oh, guys, come on, come on. But it's their charm. It's they're being real to who they are, and I feel like that's what makes them relatable. I feel like if they were all up there, overly book smart and nerdy, that's not what people would relate to. So,
sure.
But I have a lot of fun with them. I mean, they're good guys, and honestly, they're respectful of me. People sometimes go, oh well. You never were a professional fighter. What are you doing there? I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure every food critic wasn't a professional chef. I'm pretty sure everybody who covers football didn't also play the game. But I think it's, because I'm also, a woman. If it were a man up there, nobody seems to have a problem with John Anik. So it's just,
I would take you straight up in a fight over John Anik. I don't even think it's
no. I'm scrappy. Just don't hit the face. Just not the face.
I think that would go more for both of you. I'm pretty sure John Anik would be like, yeah, go for my face. This isn't a moneymaker. That's all right. I'm sorry, as you were saying.
No, it's just, it's good. They're, I haven't gotten the sense of, any of the guys that I'm working with going, oh, like, what's this chick talking about, and maybe that's just because they knew me before Fox, and I'd already been interviewing these guys for a long time, before we were sitting up there together. So I've been fortunate that I've never felt that they didn't, take me in as one of their own. I definitely feel like a team when I'm working with the guys. So
that's cool. And
yeah,
I mean, as the professional wrangler of this podcast,
I was going to say,
this is I'm so sympathetic to everything that you have to do when you have to keep the other person or persons in check
just
when they're
like names, Raph. I think people know who you mean. There's only two.
It's
of them.
not a tricky illusion. I'm just going to let you know that. But Karyn, you mentioned we're going to come back because I really want to get the transition from how you went from more entertainment to doing MMA. But before we get there, talk to us a little bit about your beginnings, because I remember you on FX with a certain host of Survivor.
Yeah.
And you guys, like, it was the weirdest show that I could never explain to people. I was like, it exists. Sometimes they talk about music. Sometimes there's guests.
We've been watching some clips.
I showed Kevin.
They should revive this. Like, it
yeah.
should come back.
Absolutely.
The apartment setting's amazing. Orlando Jones
He's
is like
free.
Trying to do camera work for you. And
oh, dude. Don't get me started on him. Yeah. It was interesting because it's kind of fun to work for Fox now. Again, I was there at FX when that first started, but that show that you're talking about, Sound Effects, initially was me, Orlando, and this other guy named Matt, who I love, who is a producer now. Does a lot of stuff for like TLC and Discovery Channel and stuff like that. But, we used to have a lot of live bands come in and play in that apartment, and then we would do interviews and we would do record reviews and things like that. And I had already come from, I worked at MTV before then, I was a VJ at MTV. And before that, I had run a radio station. And so really music was what I knew a lot about and really was quite passionate about. And I was working with people who were very casual. I mean, everybody, a lot of people love music, but they didn't necessarily come from covering that as a background. So, so on that, I was certainly that was much more in my wheelhouse than it was for, Orlando or Matt. And Orlando then left, and Jeff Pro started doing stuff with us because he used to work on another show. And it was interesting because that was not his element at all. And I remember one time I kind of freaked out because we had the Roots on. I mean, we had bands on that are huge now, or, some have come and gone. But, I remember that. I was like, oh, my God, I had the Roots on. Like, that's awesome. It's awesome. And I remember,
way
though,
before. They're mega hit.
And now
huge.
Fallon should be sending you a check, I feel.
No lie.
Exactly. I would love that. And so I'm sitting there, and we were doing something, and we had the Roots, and we were going to come back. Jeff was kind of tossing to a commercial break, and I'll never forget this. He kind of like pulled his pants down low around his, and he started doing this sort of quote unquote like homeboy like thing, and he said, "Yo, we'll be back" or something. And I remember I was just like, what am I looking at? Like, what is it? And I think the band too was kind of like, huh? And I think I do remember after having like a conversation with the production, like, yeah.
This is where Karen's like,
can we
I went
never
to Brown.
ever have that happen again? Like, that's not okay. That kind of thing was nuts. But I mean, we really did. We had Sugar Ray come on and play. I had somewhere out there online. There's an interview with me with Slash floating around, which was amazing because he, it's Slash.
Yeah, of course.
Come on. The guy is so unbelievably cool, and I remember he came in, and he's just awesome. And but he was smoking a cigarette, and some of them were like, "Okay, Karyn, you can't smoke on TV. You can't smoke on TV." I'm like, "Yeah, guys, Slash, not. What are you gonna do?" And they were like, "No, you gotta tell him. You gotta tell him." I'm like, "Oh, really?" So now it's my job to tell him. Okay, thanks for that. And so we're going and we're doing the interview, and he's smoking, and he said something, and I forget what I said. But I was like, yeah, we also don't, or maybe he swore. And I was like, yeah, we also don't smoke on TV. And he's like, kept smoking. I was like, look, I tried. I tried. I was like, it's Slash. So whatever, folks. So, I did have a lot of fun there. And like I said, I came from doing music before then. So, to me, that was always just really fun. I do love working in music. It's great.
I do love the fact that this wrangling and keeping everybody in line has been a consistent through piece in your career. So, it only makes sense that you would do this. But so tell us how you make the transition from doing the entertainment and the music side to then saying, you know what, MMA.
Yeah.
It's a thing, right?
To take on the nuance.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I did Showbiz Tonight on CNN when we brought it back. They brought it back. So I was doing that 5 nights a week, and it was really fun, live show 5 nights a week, and, a lot of, actors and obviously coming in, and it was fun. But when I left there, my agent at the time also managed Steve Albert, and Steve was working over at Showtime Boxing. And so he knew that Showtime was looking for a new reporter, kind of doing the fighter interviews and, just general reporting around. So he had a meeting with them. I've told this story before. It sounds so obnoxious, but it's true. So he goes over to Showtime, and there was their offices up in Times Square, and they said they needed a reporter and yada, yada, yada. So he says, does it have to be a guy? And they go, well, no, it doesn't have to be a guy. And he's like, okay, how about come here? And he points out the window. Well, there happened to be a billboard of me and my co-host AJ for Showbiz Tonight that was up in Times Square. So he kind of points out the window.
By
and
the way,
we've all been there.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Karyn.
Right?
Yeah, been there, yeah.
Yeah. So I wish I was there for this because the way my old agent tells it, it's great. And they were like, okay, yeah, cool. We'll take a meeting. So I remember I just went to lunch with like the three heads of, sports at Showtime, and we totally hit it off. And I started working for them like really soon after. And so I worked for them for 3.5 years doing the backstage reporting and the, fighter interviews, which was great. And, excuse me. So from there, they were going to start doing those fights on CBS, and I started working on those. So, I was there for, the whole Kimbo Gate, and all that stuff. That first round of shows that CBS did. And, while I was doing the boxing, what's that? Yeah, Elite Extreme. Yeah.
Yeah, Elite Extreme.
Elite XC. And so while I was doing that, we around 2007 or so, my husband and I decided, we should start to cover MMA and do some stuff online and kind of because Showtime wasn't a full-time thing, and we both really liked it, and so it was kind of something to kind of give me more to do as well. And so we started MMA in 2007, but the transition really came from switching from entertainment into covering boxing, and then from boxing, just covering MMA was an easy transition.
And the dynamic that you and your husband have is great, and unlike anything that you'll see anywhere else. Like, you guys, you work really well together. I think it's kind of funny that you see the two of you guys, like, your Saturdays are set for here into eternity because the UFC just decides, they're like, let's make 20 more events a year. So do you ever look at that schedule? Like, they just released next year's schedule, and do you just go,
okay.
Yeah,
well, it's tricky for us too because a lot of time now, more times now I'm at Fox, so that's we haven't been to as many sometimes because it depends. Like sometimes if I'm doing both days or if I'm only doing the Friday, it's kind of hard for me to get there for the Saturday. So it's tricky, but like for this weekend, we were supposed to go, but the hard part is, it's great being a family, quote unquote, family business and being the two of us because we know that, there's not somebody working to undermine you and you're not going to get stabbed in the back by that a-hole coworker. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's cool, but the problem is, we have a daughter, and so if we leave to go cover a fight, well, guess what? Somebody needs to come and take care of our daughter. We don't have a nanny. We don't have, contrary to popular belief, not everybody on TV is rich. It's not like I have a personal assistant and all this stuff. And so we usually end up flying his mother in from Denver to look after our daughter. And with it being the holidays and stuff right now, and they were just out here a few weeks ago, like the timing just didn't work out. So that's why at the last minute, we weren't able to go this weekend. So it's hard, people maybe don't understand how much effort it is for us to go and do this, and it is just the two of us, and we don't have a lot of people to rely on. But yes, to answer your question, like I was just talking to my brother yesterday about Vegas. I'm like, oh, I'm not there this weekend, but I'll be there in January, I'll be there in February, I'll be there in March. You know what I mean? I was like, see, anytime you want to meet me out there, it's cool. I'll be in Vegas, But it's interesting, we've done it a lot, and it is really fun. I will say this, so the Fight Pass has made some things a little less what's the word? It's not even just about being lucrative, but there's a lot of things that are funneled to Fight Pass now, and I feel like a lot of the sort of independent outlets and stuff have noticed, some changes and things because obviously it makes sense that the UFC wants to kind of corral the stuff for themselves and streamline, the access to the fighters and stuff. So the paradigm did shift a little bit with that. So we'll see how it keeps continuing to go because, we used to be one-on-ones with the fighters and then it was scrums with the fighters. And now it's, some things are, with Dana, we would always have that big scrum that everybody loved. And then they started doing, the download or something on Fight Pass. So it's a little trickier, to find, the unique things that you can shoot at an event. So sometimes it's kind of like you go, well, I'm better served, and the fans are better served with me going to a gym here and shooting a story with somebody in their gym, or even we do a lot of Skype interviews and stuff. Because sometimes you'll get more people that, like I have one with Raquel Pennington from UFC 181. And granted, the main guys get a lot of coverage, but some of the people lower down on the fight card don't get around to all the interviewers. So it's nice to kind of do that as well. It's just interesting, but going to the fights is always going to be fun, and there's something really magical about being in the building when something happens, something crazy, and so we'll be going to a lot of them for sure. Still.
Well, how many frequent miles or rates have you gotten from Vegas? I feel that you just get there and they just, it's Karyn. You send her to the Karyn Bryant suite. Yep.
I wish, honestly, a lot of time we stay with a friend out there because it's nice. It's a little more chill. He's got good internet, unlike the MGM.
Wait, hold on. I was about to tell Kevin, Karyn, you and I understand this. UFC internet is I swear to God, it is a premium. When they put you in this little bunker, it's like a little conference room. Yeah. And you see every journalist that and you read and you see on TV just dying, and all of them literally bartering together. It's if I put my bandwidth and your bandwidth together, do you think I can load this one stupid video of me saying what's up to GSP? That's all we need is just to load this one thing up. It's terrifying. And the thing is, I do this every once in a while. This is Karyn's life. So I can't even imagine what you go through.
Well, it's tough because, Wade is the tech side of everything. So the first thing he does is, when we get to someplace, he does the speed test. And sometimes he's like, son of a... because if we want to try to stream things, sometimes we stream things live and, it really can be a problem. And so he's, really good on the tech stuff and found ways to upload stuff faster and this and that. But really, there's times when he would go to, Starbucks, after the weigh-ins, or maybe we had a bunch of interviews on the Thursday and this and that, and the media room is all clogged and congested, and you're getting no upload speed. And so he would go to Starbucks somewhere, out in Vegas late at night, and he'd still be doing this. I mean, if people really knew how many late, ridiculously late nights we've had uploading things, it's crazy. So the internet is bananas. So we actually end up staying with a friend of ours a lot of the time, and it's just nice to just be able to go over there and chill and not have to deal with the whole hotel scene. But it depends on the show and where we are. It is also fun to sort of be around the whole fight thing. I kind of get that more on the road. I'll be going to Phoenix for the shows there, and it is kind of fun when you're all hanging out in the same hotel and you come down and everybody's having breakfast together, and that's cool. That's kind of cool.
People all at the little in line at the toaster, the waffle maker. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And it's weird because I've been on the Sweden shows or down in Brazil, and you're just yeah, that's cool. I'm just having breakfast with the cheetah, and then I'm just going to go over here and sit down with whatever. I mean, it's just it's fun. It really is. you get that definitely like family bond of, it's cool. I really do like the people we get to work with.
And I'll say this, like, I've covered stuff, and I've happened to cover it with Karyn, and that's the super fun side of it.
Totally.
I will say the sad side is when it's like 2 a.m., you're trying to load something, and one of my favorite Karyn Bryant moments is like, you just came back, I think it was from a post-presser, it's gone super late, and all of us rush over to go see what food is left from the UFC stockpile of shut-up reporters, here's your food.
Right.
And the one thing I think Karyn Bryant wanted was a cookie or popcorn, and you were just like, listen, guys, we don't ask for a lot, but this is our sustenance food. Just
totally
buy more.
Totally. Well, because that's the thing is, when you get there on fight night, they'll, all right, lunch or dinner is served from 3 to 5 or whatever. So you get there and you chow down because it's not going to, you're going to be working all night. And all of a sudden it's 1 a.m. and the post-fight thing is over. Yeah, and you go over there, there's nothing to eat. Or people have learned that after the fight's over, you run over to the snack table and then like hoard stuff, and then they're like prison style. It's but it's so bad because I've told people, I'm like, okay, like back, and things change, but I remember like, okay, my favorite is the Mediterranean spread at the MGM. That's the best lunch dinner thing because it's got all the salmon and the hummus and the couscous, and that's the best one. And then, like, literally you can go, like, oh, but shows in Denver, they have a really good brisket. Okay, but the Mandalay Bay used to do a fajita thing, and they don't anymore. I was like, it's ridiculous. We know all the food. We know, I'll tell you what's not good. The Shark Tank up in San Jose, that food is weak.
Ooh.
So,
wow,
it's not good.
We have the tough questions. This is the type of interview stuff we get. Yeah, it's like we struck a chord with Karyn.
This is going to be the headline. I think she knows
Telling
that. She's
you.
like, yeah, I got to respect them. They go with the headline.
That's San Jose Shark Tank line. Karyn, we've kept it civil because we're fans and you cover the sport, but we have a beef with you.
Uh-oh.
Obviously, people can tune in to watch you covering the fights live quite frequently, but you also have an MMA podcast.
Yes, we do.
MMA Heat, and I'm just looking at some guests where Gilbert Melendez, you interviewed him while he's kind of chilling in his hotel, it appears.
Right.
My question is, why are you trying to put us out of business like this?
Can't we all get along? Come on, man. Can't we all get along?
We would love to, but you're too professional.
We don't like your talent.
You make our Dog and Pony show look even worse.
No, it's funny because, my friend Pete that does it with me, he's been nicknamed the high old guy by some people. And usually he's not high when we're doing the podcast. He's actually not that old. Asterisk. He's got, the beard makes him look a lot older than he is. But it's funny because we just, we have a good time. We were doing it on Podcast One, but we really like having the video option as well, and they weren't really offering that before. And so we've been doing that. And actually, we're in the midst of, I'm sorry to say, like getting a better set and everything, and like really amping it up to make it look really nice. So enjoy your last weeks on your show. No, there's a jillion podcasts, and so there's room for all of us. I think there's room for all of us.
Absolutely. That's what we're going to keep putting on our monogram. It's like, when asked about our show, Karyn Bryant said, there's room for all of us.
Right.
There is. And especially, that I love the fight night tweets, the watching in real time.
You really are a huge supporter of us. And the fun part is, I like to think that we do and say the things that other people cannot do and say.
Totally.
Yeah. So I always like being a third entry into someone's brain. That's kind of like, if you were at the UFC, this is what you would want to say. Although, the only one that I thought, like, when you retweeted and you just responded when I said, look at all these Mexicans taking our jobs. And your response floored me when you're like, oh, no, you
didn't.
And I'm like, the fun part is I'm like, I know that Karyn knows I'm kidding, but now I'm starting to realize, are other people going to be like, I hope Kevin didn't write this?
No, I thought that was hilarious. Hilarious. It's like, Oh, that's so wrong. Good God, that's so funny.
No, we're obviously joking. We're big fans of MMA Heat. I enjoy your coverage. And yes,
thank you.
I've got about 17 MMA podcasts on my phone, so I don't know what I'm
Oh,
talking
nice.
about. UFC 181, because you've been kind enough to give us some time before we get you out of here. Any big predictions for the fights tomorrow night is when they're going down, Saturday night?
I don't know. I the only one that I feel pretty confident about is I think Travis will beat Brendan.
I said the same thing yesterday, not with the confidence, but I was like, I like the way Travis looks in these square-offs. He just has a look on his...
Yeah, and he switched over to Glendale Fighting Club, and I had a nice conversation with him on my podcast. Sorry, but we were.
Just saying.
It was a double-edged sword. She plugged her own show as she was saying, "I love your
here's
show."
this exclusive I got. Stab.
Yeah,
if you guys are interested in listening to a real podcast,
no. But it's Travis was talking about how he really has evolved technically. And that's something that he didn't really get at Jackson's. It's a great place for, sparring, and it's a great place, like he would say, to sort of be around the championship mentality and stuff with John, and, to sort of, through osmosis, pick some things up around some of the guys there. But, technically he didn't get as much training as he wanted to. And so he said when he got to Glendale Fighting Club, he and Edmund just really bonded, and he said, he just really got technical instruction. So I'm curious to see how he puts it together, because he seemed to be really fired up about that. So with that, he was already good at beating a lot of people up anyway, and I feel like now I have some confidence in him. Now the thing with Gilbert and Pettis, who knows? Anthony's amazing.
I'm excited.
It's like he's amazing. He's awesome. So the kicks are amazing. I mean, listen, we all know Gilbert's probably going to get kicked in the head. You know what I mean? Like, probably more than once. But
Gilbert knows that. Like, I'm sure Gilbert's working on the
Do you think Gilbert's just staring at a box of Wheaties right now? Just in anger and just staring at him, being like, "How dare you? I'm going to take this away from you. You look very nice in this tie and shirt." Who wears a tie and a shirt on Wheaties?
I know. Well, wasn't that one of the scandals people were saying? Like, what's wrong? You didn't want like the tattooed guy on the cover?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so that fight, Gilbert, I literally think like, you have to like drag his dead body out of the octagon before he'll quit. You know what I mean? So, I think he's going to give it everything he's got, and he could pull it off. I actually kind of thought he beat Benson Henderson before, and granted Benson and Anthony are two very different fighters, but that fight I think is going to be great. Robbie, I feel like Robbie's momentum will help him against Johnny. Johnny, had all the torn bicep and coming back from that, I think could maybe, he's fantastic, obviously. And those takedowns are sick, and that left hand is crazy. And the bicep was the right arm, it wasn't the left. So it shouldn't really have affected his punching power. But before he was saying it really affected his takedowns. So I don't know. I like Robbie's momentum. And I like that it was so close before, and it literally came down to that fifth round and that one takedown. And I feel like Robbie may be just a lot more, not that he wasn't focused, but you know what I mean, try to get it done in the earlier rounds and stuff. But, that fight's ridiculous. Come on.
See, awesome. I like this. I like this side of Karyn Bryant, because normally you're the professional journalist. We don't necessarily get to hear you do this, but your analysis is so on point. And I'm not going to lie, maybe better than DC's, and he's a fighter, and he doesn't know what he's talking about.
DC, you heard it.
I'm just saying, because
that was
not
Rafa
once
Esparza at Legal Latino on Twitter. I'm also, DC, I can get you his personal address.
That's fine, but DC would agree with me, because I think for the most part, Karyn didn't use this voice, which is, "Well, see, everybody, when I'm talking and giving my opinion, there's like a half range that's higher in my voice, so I have to wonder that voice that's talking in Karyn's ear, if she can even hear it, because I'm just so loud."
When a farm tractor gets going, it can't. The momentum's there. You see what I'm saying?
Once when I boxed a kangaroo.
Oh my
Have
God!
you boxed a kangaroo? It's crazy. I would suggest doing it.
That's
So
what Pettis is.
It's
kangaroo.
He's a
and then he
kangaroo.
points back at Karyn like, please save this.
And then he'll just be like, Karyn, isn't that right? And you just go, yup.
let's move
Yeah. That is great.
So,
you guys are killing me. You're killing me.
Karyn, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you swinging by the podcast to let us bother you about sound effects, all things MMA. Of course, everyone can find you MMA Heat or tune in to the live events. You'll
tune into anything
or
Fox
anything.
related.
Yeah, if Fox
Yes.
has it, you'll see Karyn Bryant.
If you'll see her on
And I will-
UFC tonight.
Thank you. Yes, well, and I hope you guys have been enjoying the Tough Talk, because Tough Talk has been one of the most, pleasantly, I don't know if it's surprising, but, I literally have gotten some moments on there where I was like, oh my God, this just happened. I've sat there, I'm like, I want a bag of popcorn sometimes while I'm doing these for my own, because I'm like, ooh, girl, get her. You know what I mean? And, I've had a lot of fun doing that, and I really have to say, the girls have been awesome. I've put them in some really incredibly uncomfortable positions, and they've handled it really well. So I really do thank them for that. But there are times when my producer and I are coming up with questions. We're like, oh my God, that's so bad. We gotta ask that. No. So
I will say,
it's been great.
Karyn, we do a segment on here. It's become our trademark. We haven't been able to do it this season, but we do what's called a 1-minute review, where I review the entire episode of The Ultimate Fighter in exactly 1 minute.
Never been 1 minute.
It's
ever
always been 1 minute.
So it's never been under 5.
Absolutely been 1 minute every single time. Kevin is not used to numbers. But what I always said for years is I was like, I want to do a show where you talk to the fighters after the fact. And I was like, because, Talking Bad exists after Breaking Bad.
Right, exactly.
Why not do that with fighters? And then lo and behold, I look on there and I see you doing it, and I go, listen, if it was going to be anybody, I'm so glad it's Karyn. Because she's at least making it a real show and probably doing it the real way, as opposed to me being like, hey, so you lost. That was great, right?
That was great. Yeah, no, well, look at you're a genius then, because you knew it was a good idea. So I just hope we get to continue it, because even though the women are known to be more dramatic or this or that, I still feel that it's worth doing on other seasons too, because a lot of stuff happens. I think it would totally be worth continuing. So I hope that we do.
I love the fact that you get to bring in other alumni on there. Like when you brought Uriah on, I was like, that's cool, because it is kind of like that fraternity where you should be able to bring back people and get them good stage time, because it's a tough life. I mean, like you said, where most people assume that when you're on TV, you just make millions of dollars. Those guys, they need that coverage to not only stay current, but apparently now if their UFC rankings are high, they're going to make more money. So they've got to make that case consistently. So that's something we're akin to understanding. But yes, we cannot thank you enough. Thank you for making this happen. And before we get you out of here, Karyn, just level with us.
Mm-hmm.
We've done 100 of these.
Yeah.
How do you do it professionally?
Yeah, how many more before we get good?
In one word.
When's
that? Sober?
Well, you've asked too
okay,
much.
well, no, that's a good tip, because I didn't know about that, though. That's, okay, someone should have said that earlier.
Well, the podcast will cease to exist if that's the case.
50 episodes ago would have been helpful, yeah. Does that include editing, or?
No, God, the edit process is all about the drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things got close. Verbal Tap fans, Karyn Bryant.
Thanks, guys.
What's up, guys? It's Mac Danzig. I just wanted to congratulate you guys on 100 episodes, man. That's awesome. If I would have kept up with my podcast, I would have still 95 to go to catch up to you. So here's to another 100. Good work, guys. Hope to be on again soon.
Hi there. This message is for Raph. I'd like you to return all those Nawaka shirts that you took from our booth last weekend. Kind of irritated. You said you were going to show them to somebody who wanted to buy something or something, and I haven't gotten them back. So if you could please just, send them to our warehouse or, something, that'd be great.
Hey guys, this is Paul from Ultimate Radio and the Journey podcast. Just calling to wish you guys congratulations on reaching another milestone. There are very few shows out there dedicated to the scene as you are. I mean, Ultimate Radio is, and it's probably where you should start. But when I haven't kicked out an episode and you need some methadone, a podcast, go to your friends at Verbal Tap. But seriously, I love the podcast, and of course our collaborations with Around the Mat, our YouTube series that we get to do together, and could not be happier that you guys just keep plugging away and putting out good content. So cheers to that, and here's to another couple hundred episodes down the path. So very proud of you. Keep it up, and I will catch you around the mat. Peace, guys.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is LC Davis, Bellator fighter representing Kansas City. I just want to wish you guys congratulate you guys actually on your 100th episode of Verbal Tap MMA. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. I always love being on the show, and keep it going. Take care. Bye.
We brought the man that's internet famous, about to be ADCC famous, who's beating some ass next week, Brandon McCatherine from 10th Planet, down in Decatur, Alabama. Brandon, how are you doing?
I'm glorious and good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for stopping by our happy 100th. You wrote us a song, Raph is telling me.
Yes, I love you guys, and I just wanted to do something special for you. That I just try to think all the nicest things that I could think of about you guys, and put them all together. For one little ball of happiness, just to kind of bring a spark of joy into each of your lives.
That is so
you mean
nice.
A lot to me.
That is
touching.
really so nice.
Yeah,
I didn't expect all of this. This is really
such a beautiful voice too. It's really going to be great to hear him sing about it. Well, let's listen to the song.
Yeah, let's just listen to the song
then.
Verbal Tap. They got the worst jiu-jitsu show on the radio. Verbal Tap. How this crap got 100 shows, I'll never know. Rapper Sparza can't tell jokes. Plus he looks weird. And Kevin Phillips sucks. Everything that Kevin does sucks. They had Carlos Condito. Oh, but Kevin can't leave him alone. 1 minute Ultimate Fighter reviews never go that long. They just go on and 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 on. They keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and keep going on and on and on. Verbal Tap. Well, they got the worst mixed martial arts show on your radio. Verbal Tap. How this crap got 100 shows, I'll never know. Verbal Tap. they suck. They suck, everything they do suck. Everything that Kevin does ain't funny. And Raph ain't funny. They just suck. Did I mention yet that they suck? Oh, Rebel Tide. You guys suck.
Brandon, there are some nuances to the song that maybe one could take as, what's the word?
I'll take it. How long did it take you to write that?
Oh, I spent almost 2 years writing that.
Strange. It felt like the opposite.
It kind of felt like maybe one of those songs where if you listen to it more, it'll start to grow on you. It just had a connotation that kind of wasn't always as joyful so much as like kind of like when a stripper kicks you in the nuts is sort of kind of how it felt. In this case, Brandon, you would be the stripper.
You get kicked in the nuts by strippers a lot?
I mean, you get what you pay for,
Have
right?
you not? You're from Alabama. Don't pretend like you haven't.
What else do you do in Decatur, sir?
Like, oh, yeah. Our strippers, they're fine grade A class over here. Brandon, I guess we can thank you, I guess is the term.
Again, beautiful guitar playing.
And great singing.
Very great singing, but just the lyrics.
And heartfelt lyrics. Well, they were heartfelt. That's the part.
Okay, yeah. There's definitely heart behind
They came from a good place.
Almost in a way that was like almost a little too much heart in a scary way. It was like, oh, yeah.
Did you play this for anybody like beforehand, or like did you maybe get someone to proofread it or something? Some feedback?
Yeah. Like my kids, they really liked it.
Wow. Some say kids are the toughest critics, so that if they liked it, that's great. That means that it's...
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know, like, I believe in 3 chords and the truth. You know what I mean? Just put it out there.
3 chords and the truth.
So, Brandon, when you were putting together the song for us, you know, what was the prevailing thought that was going through your head? What really,
I was
stuck out?
surprised you didn't mention our good looks or comedic timing.
Absolute great interviewing skills.
No, I did mention your comedic timing. I did.
That
you
was
did actually mention
covered.
it. You blocked that part
I
out.
talked about your comedy specifically, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I thought, it would have a positive spin. Yeah, where do you inspire that type of...
That was... I'm trying to, like, lift you guys up, you know?
Yeah.
That was...
Like a Josh Groban type, but for jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well...
I don't really know what that means.
I think we're all working out what we think it means. Well, Brandon, can we tell you thank you for taking the time to write a beautiful song?
Ballad. It was a ballad of love. I could feel it actually coming through it was like there. As soon as he hits that beautiful C note, it's fantastic. Lovely, lovely work.
Well, thank you. And lovely work by you gentlemen as well.
Thank you. One of these days you should use your talents for good instead of evil. I'm throwing ideas out there.
Is it weird, though, to have written a song for us before Kevin could have written a song for you?
I fucking knew that was going to get brought up. It's in development.
Well, it's not that weird. Like, at this point, I'm at peace with it. Like, I know that Kevin is a liar, so it's, it's kind of like you grew up with an alcoholic dad. Look, it's just that's the way he is.
We've gotten through some metaphors. This is my fault for starting with the stripper.
Definitely the darkest path we've taken any of our guests so far.
Well, Brandon, beautiful voice singing, beautiful guitar playing, and we will be sure to play that as frequently as I can possibly fit it into the podcast.
Well, that sounds good. That'll be the best part of your show every week.
It's got a ton of singers.
Yeah, I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're down in 10th Planet, down in Decatur, Alabama, go to 11th or 9th Planet. I would skip the 10th one because occasionally Brandon's teaching there. No, of course, check out 10th
That
Planet.
crap don't work anyway. So
don't work. Everybody know that stuffs don't work.
At no-gi jits. It'll be great. We're looking forward to hearing how ADCC goes, and of course, we'll be in touch, good sir.
Hey, it's just the trials. Now, let's not pretend like I'm at ADCC just yet.
Hey,
we'll see.
Not with
I
that
plan on
attitude. If you walk in and you're like, "Where's Vinny Bagales?"
Excuse me. Hi, I'm just looking for my seat next to Keenan, and then they're going to be like, that guy knows what he's talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only talent of the musical jiu-jitsu world. Terrible wording. No. Brandon McCaffrey.
Yeah, that was a struggle. I love you.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's James Popolo. Just wanted to call and say congratulations to everyone over at Verbal Tap Podcast. You guys are killing it. Keep it going. Congrats on the 100th episode. And here's to 100 more. Us.
Hey, this is Stephen Briggs, just giving a shout out to my favorite podcast, Verbal Tap, and also reminding Kevin that he still owes me 5 pounds from our bet. I want 5 pounds off that belly. I want 5 pounds off that belly.
Hey, guys. This is Todd from White Belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I want to take a second to congratulate Rolf and Kevin on your 100th episode. We're very honored to have been a part of that 100 episodes. I'd like to unveil the very first voicemail meme. Are you ready? That face when you're proud to be part of the Verbal Tap legacy. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Hey, so you guys just gave me the shirts back, and they're all stretched out. And it looks like there's a Dorito stain right on the collar. So I don't know. I'm just gonna charge you guys or whatever. I mean, like, I just can't sell that stuff. I mean, one of them says, this belongs to Kid Dale's lover inside the collar, and that's just no one's gonna buy that. So if you guys could just square this away with me, that'd be great.
Verbal Tap, it is a 100th episode celebration indeed. And this next guest, I got to tell you, I thought Raph was messing with me. I was really reluctant. I thought I was falling for one of your elaborate jokes, Raph, which you tend to do to me. You do tend to set me up and take me in different directions.
Well, you're easy to set up, so it's not very difficult.
No need to get that jab in there, but I appreciate it. On the line, the veteran voice of the Octagon, acclaimed author, longtime mixed martial artist, but you know him as the man that sets the tone to raising people's hand and getting the fight started. No better place on display than 181. We have Bruce Buffer on the line. Bruce, how are you doing this evening?
Hi, guys. How are you both? I really appreciate being on, and thanks for that very cool intro. I like it. Checks in the mail.
Absolutely. I was going to – Raph already talked me off the ledge. I was like, should I give it some energy? Should I try and throw some bass in it? Raph was like, do not do that.
No.
Do not try and go at his game. It is a very serious craft. And I have some artistic questions for you.
Sure.
So your voice doesn't just happen the way you get fights started. It requires some energy. It requires some practice and some preparation. I was wondering if you could tell me about the process side of it. Just, are you like a tea drinker before big events? What goes into making the voice? Yeah, go ahead.
First thing that happened is my dad had a conjugal visit with my mother, which created me, which created the whole thing. Because quite frankly, I don't rehearse. I'll be honest with you, I don't. And I'll tell you, I write about. Yeah, I like everything in my life to run through two things, which are very important words to me. One is passion. I'm very passionate about everything that I love to do, and at 57 now, I think I have the right to. After working so hard to get, whatever I've achieved in my life, because I believe we're all created equal. It's just about the paths we choose and how well we do how well we do each path, barring any, ability to jump 6 feet and run like the wind. I mean, that's obviously God-given. Whoever your God is, they gave it to him. So bottom line is that I feel up the energy of the crowd when I walk out of the UFC in particular into the Octagon, and I don't stand in the shower and, yell out Chuck Liddell's and scrubbing my armpits. I mean, I basically just wait till I get into that arena, feel the energy, and go out and do it. And that's where the second word comes in, which is called organically. So I like to do everything in my life organically because I find that when I build businesses and whatever marketing I apply to those businesses and they grow and they become successful due to greater, marketing, that's the perfect choice that creates an organic reaction of interest, and then you create customers. And in performing, it's like I never wanted to be Frank Sinatra Jr., so I didn't want to copy my brother, the great Michael Buffer. who really, to me, brought the attention to the ring announcer to begin with some 25, 30 years ago, beyond a role that's been around forever, in the fight game. And to do that, I knew that organically I had to grow with it. And if I look back at those first few shows, I'm like, nope, I don't like that. I can see I started somewhere. That's all I can tell you. And it grew to where it is today, and I just try to do the best job I can. I give over 100% effort every night I walk out there like it's my first night.
So you
mentioned this
jazz style, so I like that.
Yeah, definitely. In the moment, improvisation.
Yeah, I like it.
I got to ask
I love improvisation. I actually wanted to be an actor when I was a kid, and I studied improvisation. I wanted to be two things. I wanted to be a dancer and an actor when I was younger. Then I got too big to be a dancer, and I got into martial arts because I like to fight. And then I finally started, doing it in schools of dojos. And, my love for that and my next love in sports and my main love, my favorite sport of all is surfing.
Ooh, okay, there's a lot in there. I don't know how, if you're a producer for Dancing with the Stars and you hear this, you aren't immediately trying to book Bruce Buffer on that show.
Plus,
2 seconds.
I don't need him being a surfer, too. Like, a great voice, really successful business, and he surfs. That's not fair.
I'll tell you a brief background on that, but I will tell you, that they know me over at Dancing with the Stars. I actually know the casting agent. I've talked to her over the last few years, and if I ever got that call, it's something you just have to do in life because it would be incredible. I'll tell you, the dancing doesn't bother me. That I know I can handle because I'm light on my feet, and I've got good coordination just from surfing and all the martial arts. I think they really helped through my life. But it's the training. Chuck Liddell said it was the hardest thing he ever did. He told me the hardest thing he ever did was the training, and that's where you get hurt. Is in the training. So I give a lot of credit to dancers, man. They work hard. But as far as the surfing thing. And again, I'm taking up your airspace here. I'm sorry, but you got me in a couple tangents.
You do.
It's yours. When I was 15, we moved from Philadelphia to Malibu, which was like culture shock. My dad ran Fortune 500 companies, and it brought us out to Malibu. I write about this in my book, but there's a lot more detail. But I never saw girls like that. I never saw the blondes running out of the ocean. We just had the boardwalk and Snooki running around, and a lot of other pretty girls. So it's like it was a whole new world in that tropical paradise called Malibu, California. And all I wanted to do was learn how to surf and lose my virginity at 15. My hormones were flying, but I learned how to surf first, became a lifeguard, and everything else followed.
This is what we've been talking about. We've been talking about, they need a really good UFC drama with, this type of lifestyle behind it. And that's another cool story. It's like you find yourself on the coast surfing, and the next thing you know, you're screaming in the octagon. Well,
it's in the book. It's in the Bible. Amazon.com, baby.
It's time. My 360-degree view of the UFC by Bruce Buffer. Yeah, Raph is a longtime advocate of the book. He's been yelling at me to read it for a few months now.
Thanks, Raph.
Oh, no problem. I love this. There should also be an accompanying. Oh, and I guess no thanks, Kevin. For
I'm still working on the whole reading thing. Kansas
it's true.
raised.
It's a very difficult thing for him.
Kevin, that's okay. Can I ask how old you are?
I am literally 7 hours from turning 29.
There you go. Okay, well, you're still in the 20s, and you know what? Yeah. What's happening now is if I had the technological stuff that's around today when I started managing Michael after we met, because we're long-lost half brothers, only met him 25 years ago or so. But if I had the technological equipment to be able to market Let's Get Ready to Rumble and build his career the way that I so wonderfully and honored to have had the chance to do, I would have done 3 times as much business with all the texting and the email. We didn't have that kind of thing back then. I mean, we were on the 56 drive up or whatever called phone up lines. Internet took forever. I was there till 4 a.m. sending faxes, where today you press a button and they're all going out in Texas and multiple, emails. But long story cut short, we live in an ADD society, which has crossed people and young people, especially in your generation, and now more so in the next generation. They don't read as a rule. Everything is a quick fix. I remember you used to have 4-page articles, then it became maximum, 1 page, then it became quarter page, because it's all about the quick fix and on to the next thing, which is not good for marriages to last a long time and not good for business partners that you want to trust your money and your future with. But that's the kind of society. It's a quick fix society. People don't read books like they used to.
True story.
Good, right?
Bruce, I got to switch gears here. I do have to ask you this. This is something I've always wondered, I guess in the back of my mind. Your brother does voice work. You do voice work. What does a phone call between the two of you sound like? do you like call each other and go, "It's time to go to the market"? Do you mind?
We're two of the It's a good question, and I know people wonder about Thanksgiving dinner. Is it pass the mashed potatoes? It's like, no, man, we're just two calm, cool cats, man. We just call each other up. Hey, Michael. Hey, Bruce. How you doing? He's got that amazing voice. Our dad's voice was even more amazing.
Has there ever been a note between the two of you? Like, has he ever dropped you a note and been like, "Hey, I wouldn't have emphasized the Enya so hard"?
I wouldn't have what?
I wouldn't have emphasized the Enya so hard.
There's no competition between us. It's not. I mean, I've been managing his career for 25 years, been his partner, developed and, all the licenses and everything involving around the toys and products and everything that we've had the pleasure of being part of. And it's a passionate business between two brothers who love each other, who met each other very late in life. But we're not the same. I'm not Frank Sinatra Jr. I never wanted to copy him. People copy him all the time, and I see people copying my style, but that's the height of flattery, but that's not my intention with my brother. I told myself, if I can't do this the way I want to do it, like Sinatra said, my way, then I'm not doing it, period.
Absolutely. And you helped him trademark a lot of those phrases. You guys have been in business together for a while. Is he also a poker player?
No, Michael made a bet on a blackjack table some 15 years ago when we were in Vegas. I think he put a $100 black chip down, lost it, and believe me, no bet since then. He's probably got the lumpiest mattress in Hollywood.
I was just curious. I was like, because that could make for some very good house parties. Obviously, people know
I wish he
now.
did.
You're quite a poker
I wish he
player.
did. The guy's loaded. I'd like to take part of that cash back. Of course.
And Bruce, you've been doing this for a while now, and we see you obviously around in the sold out arenas now. Is there some time back in the beginning? Can you tell us about a few of like the maybe less glamorous times you announced some things in like genuine, more shystier type venues?
Well, I probably worked a couple of cowboy bars where the fights in the audience were better than the fights in the ring or the cage that I was working in. Definitely, and I've been in some pretty funky places. But even going back with the UFC, you go back to like I think it was around 27 or 24 in that area. We had an event in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. It was definitely Louisiana. And there was only about 1,800 people in attendance at the time, not the 20,000, 15,000, filled and more or less that we do now. But and it was a very diehard audience because this was during the McCain era, when he did the human cockfighting comment and they took us off TV except for In Demand. And we went from being in about 100 million homes, or 65 million homes rather, down to like 15 million homes on DirecTV and all that. It was a big change before Dana White and the Fertitta brothers bought the organization. So here we are in this arena, and Kevin Randleman is the main event, and he's walking out to the octagon, and he slips and falls and knocks himself out of one of those steel tubes, in the back that you'd see hanging around, from lighting, literally like a steel pole. Okay. So I get told in my IFB in my ear as I'm waiting to do the thing, I got to tell the audience that there's no main event. So I thought it was like, and it was basically bottles and can time. Get out of there, because it was a different thing back then. We had this core audience holding us together, but that was like one of the worst experiences I ever had as far as being in that. Otherwise, I'd tell you a story, King of the Cage. I walked in, and it was no secret. Ken Shamrock walked in, and some guy talked bad about his wife. I go, "Hi, Ken," as he's walking into the bathroom, and after he went in the bathroom, he ran across the guy who was an ex-fighter, and they brawled, and Ken beat him up pretty bad in the bathroom that night. So one thing said to another, I guess it got into a fisticuff, and I missed that one. Or 20 minutes later, after being out with BJ and partying in Hawaii, and I get done, and we always had a lot of great times together, and my little Hawaiian brother gets arrested by the police for brawling with the police 20 minutes later. Had I been there, who knows how I would have. I could have been in cuffs with him. Who knows? There's all these incredible experiences, and that's why you got to pick up the book and read the Bible.
Absolutely. I did want to ask this, because this is always something that I'm watching when you're announcing, is there seems to be a fun game. A lot of the fighters, when you're announcing them, they're in the zone or they get really into it. Has there ever been a fighter's look or glance, or maybe even if they're laughing, that's maybe thrown you or just kind of surprised you? Because I feel that that's the most real reactions you get from them in the cage right before the fight starts.
Oh, it's staring into the eye of the tiger. You're literally something you can't even possibly get the same feeling from the level and the viewpoint. Whether it's a foot, 6 feet, or 12 feet, away from their face, as can happen at times. So with me, the way I work and the way they react to me, it's not just me, it's them. They come towards me sometimes. Yeah. So, the fist bump that Cole Miller actually started, and then he got upset with me because suddenly I had fist bumped by somebody else. And he's like, keep getting on my case. I'm like, Cole, calm down. Your problem's not with me, it's with them, and I'm not going to disrespect them if they want to fist bump me. He goes, oh, okay, Bob, I got it. But still, I'm the first one to do that. So, there was one instance, I think it was the first time Mirko Cro Cop came in, right? And I'm going into his space as I'm announcing, and he had this look of death on his face, like, I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm not going to go quite there just yet. Let Mirko get used to my style first. So I waited until about the second or third time before I gave him the full thing. And then he comes up to me and goes, I really love the way you announced me. It gets me going in his Mirko Cro Cop way. And I'm thinking, geez, I wish you would have told me that before the first time I announced you. You scared the hell out of me.
Mirko Cro Cop, by the way, good instincts to be scared of, just from a pure personality test. It's like, you forget Bruce is next to some big dudes hanging out who have been doing a lot of fighting. And
let me tell you, those little dudes, Mighty Mouse could screw up any man walking on the street. Trust me. Those little dudes are just as scary at times.
I was just about to ask.
Not to me.
You're cage side all the time. You see these guys at their most vulnerable, which is those seconds right before the fight, right? As soon as they get in and the bell rings, they click. What's it being like that close? Do you get a different sense?
Well, yeah, you can tell, and I don't want to mention any names, but you can tell when somebody's nervous, when somebody's scared, when that first time walking in the lights of the show, shall we say, which is the UFC, the 800-pound gorilla, that's where everybody wants to be. And then suddenly the octagon door closes and I'm in there and I, whip my body into you and start roaring your name. It's like, dude, you're here. This is it. It's about to happen, man. This is what you wanted. You got it. It's time. Let's make it happen, And I see a lot of, I can see it. I get the chance again to look into the eye of the tiger. Or even when I'm like, I don't go into the cage until the first man walks in, and I go in before the second one walks out, and I'll be there when the first guy's getting checked out by the referees. And his music's playing, and the people are giving him adulation, and you can see in people's faces sometimes what's going on.
Absolutely. This is the type of insight, Raph. This is what I needed. This is what I'm talking about. I need to chat with him before I keep trying to predict UFC fights. I'm really bad at it, it turns out, Bruce. I don't know what the deal is.
I told everybody... Oh, that I understand, but I don't bet on fights because I don't like the odds, and I think it makes me a non-equal opportunity announcer because I want to give each guy the whole benefit of my passion for that moment, sharing with them in their lives and equal. But I do tell people that if you wanted me to put down some picks, I don't want money, but I will charge you 25% of what you win off what I pick.
Perfect. That's so perfect. Although I do like that you give us a clear indication that we would know if you were bought off, and be like, over here, it is.
Actually, you'll never hear me. You'll never hear or see me do that because when I was kidding around. Because when anybody asks me, I have one answer. May the best man win, and I really, really, really mean that. Now, do I have friends that are there in one of those fights, and maybe I'm more impartial to? Sure. I mean, I was at tears in my eyes watching BJ get the crap kicked out of him his last couple fights. It killed me.
That was rough. It was rough watching it from TV. I can only imagine. Him. You're that close up to it. You form so many good bonds with all of these people. How do you detach yourself, or can you find yourself not getting caught up in it sometimes?
Well, I'm the messenger. I have a job to do, and I need to do my job. But that's like asking Uriah a favor. Hey, Uriah, you may get asked next year to fight TJ Dillashaw. And I asked him this on my podcast. Yeah. And, if that happens, I mean, a couple zeros cut a lot of family ties, and that's your job. But it's like he's got to face that issue when it comes, but got to be prepared for it. This is what we do, Not me. I'm not fighting. They're fighting. But, I mean, this is what we do. We're in the hurt business, and people get hurt.
Absolutely. I do. Yeah, I mean, I know that's got to be so crazy when you are watching all of that. Let's switch gears for just a second. So you've got a podcast now. How did you get started doing that? What is the meaning behind doing that? And how do we get you to stop doing it so that you make us look, better by stopping?
Yeah, it's not like he's had John Anik and Chael Sonnen and the Invicta Fight Boss, Sean. I mean, just to name a few recent guests.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously trying to put us out of business with your strong guest list. How do we get you to cool it with the talent and the guest intake?
Can't cool it. As a matter of fact, next week, because I just signed with Podcast One, we started with them in September. I've had the podcast now for 5 years. And we were over on the Crave Network at SureDog.com, which is still playing there, which most MMA fans go to for their news and such. But Podcast One's the biggest podcast company or network in the country.
Yeah.
And they have 55 million plus registered listeners. And Chael Sonnen has a show on there now. And he came on after we did, but I was the first like real MMA show besides Karyn Bryant's, show that was on. Long story cut short, I love doing it. The guests or guests that we bring on, they're friends or acquaintances, or they're people that I just want to bring on the show. And unlike the MMA personalities you mentioned, because they're all great to have on, and Ronda and everybody will be on again and again over the years, but I've had Charles Barkley, I've had Stephen Moyer, the star of True Blood, most of the major poker players you've seen on TV. I can go on and on and on with
Bill Goldberg
so many different
also
people.
In a pretty cool.
Which one?
You have Bill Goldberg on.
Yeah, Bill Goldberg was on, on that list there recently. And next week is the S&R show, which we're going to start back again, which is my once-a-month sex and relationship show where we have people send an email and we talk about, our opinions on your questions. And it doesn't matter to me how wild the questions are, or my co-host who comes in, Sammy Phillips, who's an ex-Penthouse Playmate and has her own show, like a sexpert here in L.A., both she's had on TV and radio. And we answer everything, and for some reason, that's our highest-rated show at times. But go figure, right?
Yeah, no kidding. I was like, the way you just pitched it, I'll be downloading it. So that's
yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. I'm gonna have a fun show next week, and I always tell people that in that show we do prefer that you're at least 18 or over, because we do go into some pretty wild stuff at times. But it's fun. It's very, like for you guys, it's a very cathartic experience. And when it comes to podcasts, there really is no competition unless you're up against direct competition, because there's a lot of podcasts out there. And it's here's the way I look at podcasts. I own companies in business since I was 19 when I started my first corporation. And I've been in the telemarketing field. I've owned sales companies. I've owned nutritional companies, on and on and on. So all business is the same, it's just the product is different. And when you're starting with your podcast, it's like building a Herbalife organization. You want to sell your product to everybody around you that you know. In turn, they talk to people, and you build it, what did I say earlier, organically. So some people don't have wider spheres of influence than others, but that's the way you build it. And then you keep your marketing costs really low. So with your podcast, somebody else, it's not like you're in competition. You want to just make sure you get the word out there. And then people listen to you, if you're interesting, and hopefully they listen to us, right? And hopefully the girls will keep listening, because the first thing girls like is sense of humor. So hopefully the show's funny and the females stay and keep listening.
Actually,
so I have a variety to make sure I appeal to everybody's interest.
As we were coming on the podcast, I was telling my girlfriend, she goes, "Oh, he was on Friends." I was like, "Yes, absolutely. That's what you would
I know.
Definitely know him from. He was on Friends."
Talk about the Dorian Gray effect. All I got to do is watch a show or watch Friends, and I can tell you how old I am by how much gray is in my hair.
Yeah.
Well, it is funny that you bring that up, because on my side, you have a very distinct fashion style, and it's good, it pops, but it crossed over into my world recently, because I'm about to get married in a few months, and my fiance looked at me and she goes, "You know what? I wouldn't mind you wearing a Bruce Buffer suit." And I was like, "What? Do we have?"
Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, there's two things that go with that.
What's that?
I have the suits handmade, and they're very expensive, so I don't think you want to take the money away from your bottom line wedding costs.
Probably not.
But you can definitely get a really fine tuxedo at the stores. The rentals still have the ability to give you a really nice look, and there's nothing better than a nice three-piece for a classy look. It's your wedding; you want to be classy. But when you say weddings, one of my specialties is I've done about 100 of them in the last couple of years. Fans pay me to do their wedding intros as you walk in the reception, where I introduce your wedding party, and then when you walk in, I think the Michael Bisping one I did about 6 months ago.
That was sick.
Yeah, that went viral, right?
Yeah.
So it's, walking down the aisle of love forever. And then it gives the whole build up, the whole 9 yards. So I'd be happy to do that for you. I would just charge you the cost for me to get it done.
Oh, that's really, I appreciate that.
Oh, that was just for you. That's not for your listeners that write my company.
No.
I make it real cheap for them. Trust me, I haven't paid a lot of money for that. I made it so inexpensive for a wedding because I really get a kick out of doing it for weddings. I really, really enjoy that. They write me back and they put the videos on YouTube, and I'm so honored that's part of their special day. Sincerely, I mean that.
That's very nice. I appreciate that, Bruce. And man, I mean, I was just going to ask you, kind of related to that was, are you ever thinking about doing a suit line? Because if you're not, A, you should get involved in it, and B, I want 25% cut of giving you this idea. So
I want one of
those
those
two things included.
I want one of those.
Well, it's not an original idea. I don't mean to be offending you by saying that. It's an idea that's been pursued.
Yeah.
The clothing business is a very difficult business that involves a full time of attention, and I would not do anything like that unless it was done on a license. I have gone into business in that area recently, and I'll be having a store up on my website in a few months, just for the It's Time T-shirts and hats and hoodies and stuff like that. But, I like to think I'm a very smart businessman, and based on what I've accomplished in my life. And there's a couple of things I don't want to do anymore in my life. I don't want to be CEO running one company and dealing with the overhead, the massive amount of employees, whatever you need. And my business is about licensing and being involved in the marketing and keeping my bottom line costs low. The dream is there. The suit line's a great idea, but I'd rather line up with somebody that has a successful suit line and license a line of suits. But I don't know if that's going to happen. It might happen in the tuxedos. I do have some people talking.
I like it. All right.
I was going to say, I'm absolutely in. Well, Bruce, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you swinging by the podcast today. We know you are a busy guy. And again, for people out there, the book is It's Time, my 360-degree view of the UFC. Please check out his podcast, It's Time with Bruce Buffer. You stay tuned with MMA, but it takes a lot of cool turns.
It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and some MMA. We talk about everything.
Absolutely.
We talk about what you want to talk about and what you think you want to talk about, but are afraid to.
And that's the best part, because that's all you can ask for in a podcast. So please check it out. Thank you again. And just as a quick, if you don't mind giving us a nice voice thank you out on our 100 episodes, we will obviously let you get out of here.
Okay. Thank you, Rafe and Kevin, for me being part of your 100th episode. So cool. So great to be live on your show. Happy holidays.
See, he really can just jam it out. That intensity and that beauty.
Professional.
It's the instrument of Bruce Buffer, veteran voice of the Octagon. Verbal Tap listeners, thank him so much for coming on, Bruce Buffer.
Thanks, guys. If you want to visit me over at bufferzone.net. All the information's there. If you want to send me any requests for any kind of wedding recordings or birthday or whatever, I love doing that stuff. And follow me on Twitter at Bruce Buffer and Instagram, Bruce Buffer UFC.
This is why everyone loves this man. Thanks again, Bruce.
Always be closing. ABC. Did you see Glengarry Glen Ross?
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Did you Alec Baldwin?
Oh yeah.
When I tell you I ran telemarketing companies, and you hear that guy Wolf of Wall Street, although he ripped people off, I never did that. But I was Alec Baldwin back in the '80s, boys. I know how to make that thing happen. That's why I liked that show so much. Coffee's for closers. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
Thanks again,
Bye,
Bruce.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
What up, Brad? It's Josh Clark from Tough 19. Heard you and Kevin about to celebrate your 100th episode with Verbal Tap. But, man, that's awesome. I just want to say congratulations. Y'all keep grinding. I'm going to keep grinding. I'll see y'all at the top. Later.
Hey, guys. It's me, Waza, and I just miss you guys, okay? I've been drinking, and what we had was so special. We would talk about, and you guys I don't even know why I'm calling, because I'm happy with Paul and Open That Radio, and I don't even need you, and you went and you just miss you so much.
Hey, Kevin, Raph, this is Nick Gregoriades from the Jiu-Jitsu Brotherhood. I just wanted to wish you guys congratulations on the 100th episode of Verbal Tap Podcast. I can say with not a hint of a lie that Verbal Tap is my favorite hybrid comedy / mixed martial arts crossover podcast of the last 6 months. And I wish you guys all the best success for the 1,000 lessons upon you.
Raph and I are ringing in 100 episodes of Verbal Tap just in time for the holidays. So we had to have, I don't know how, I mean, Raph, could we have even stomached to say the words 100 episodes without having him on?
Absolutely not. Not in my book.
Not in your book. This was clear. As we were like storyboarding this episode, we had to have Verbal Tap's favorite, the one, the only in the world of his kind. We know that is scientifically proven. None others exist like this person. Bubba the Menace, Bubbasaurus McDaniel. Bubba, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, boys. That's a hell of an introduction to have there. I feel special.
I also am still looking at the picture. The picture of you as the Bubbasaurus is in my studio.
Right.
And every time we have a party, people are like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "They're like, is that an MMA fighter or a dinosaur?" And I'm always like, "Both." That's what that is.
That is the Bubbasaur. You know, the funny thing is I saw Coach Greg since for the first time since April out here this weekend too. Man, I saw him. That's the first thing he ran up. As I was saying here, I saw him about 20 feet out. He yelled out, "Bubbasaur!" So yeah, it won't die.
You saw Coach Jackson out at UFC 181 this weekend.
Yes.
What were you
sir,
doing out there besides sending me awesome Snapchats? That's all I'm going to say. If you're not
Dude.
friends with Bubba McDaniel on Snapchat, you're missing out.
Right. There's some epic stuff that goes on no matter where I'm at. But when it's in Vegas, it's over the top.
Yeah. What were you doing?
But I came out here. I made plans on this whenever I was supposed to help Johnny with camp. So I wanted to come out and see how the fight went and things like that. But I got hurt in my fight back in October, so I never even got to help with camp. But heck, I still had the ticket bought, so hell yeah, I came out to the fight.
Yeah, we were just trying to schedule a talk. We had to schedule it around the weigh-ins, and it was like, of course, Bubba's at the UFC 181 stuff. What's going on, man? You've been fighting. You said you got injured. What's the extent of the injury?
I actually just got cleared Thursday before I came out here on Friday to start training again. I herniated my C5 in my neck in the beginning of that last fight that I had against Emiliano Sordi.
Yeah, I knew it was bad.
When I took that original shot, I went down, my neck popped a lot, and that's why I tried that roll through to try to come, because I just didn't drive at that point once I felt my neck start popping.
Yeah.
And then after I tried to do the driving and things like that, but I was in a lot of pain. As I tell people, I was fighting neck pain compared to the choke for a long time. And then once he finally, got to suck in the choke, because I was in good position to defend for a little bit. But just the pain I was in sitting there, I had to try to move, and when I did, I just gave him the choke. It's sport we play, and it's crap that happens. But it still sucks because I had 2 fights built back up, and obviously I wanted to get a streak going on and actually show people something in the sport again that I'm not that punk guy. And I was feeling real good.
I was like, you were having a good run.
I was feeling real good. I had a really good fight against a guy named Matt Jones. He was really, really tough. It took me to a decision, but I got to show off some striking in that fight that I've been telling people that's there. After that, I fought a heavyweight a month later just so I could stay busy in between Bellator fights, because I signed with Bellator for that first Matt Jones fight.
Absolutely.
And ended up, I got a sponsor to pay flights and just give me enough money to basically get there and take care of it. And I fought a heavyweight fight for free in Indiana.
Man, Raph, could you please explain production on this?
I wish I could. There's a lot of things I wish I could explain. production-wise and et cetera with Bellator as well. But, Bubba, I think the prevailing thing about this is, the thing about this for us is, we know you really well. We know that when you are fighting, that there is kind of a concept that people just expect you to be this invincible guy that doesn't get hurt when you're training. So we're talking injuries that have been sustained forever. So, I mean, what does it feel like now that you get this clear? It's like, where did your brain go, especially as you're watching fights this weekend?
It's the funny thing is being back at a UFC event, it's, it was 2 years ago we were filming, and, a year and a half ago, I was on top of the world still in my own head. I come out here this
and
time, it's kind of funny, but
just saying.
Well, but I come out here this time, it's really funny. I'm hanging out with Clint Hester and Josh Saman and things like that. We came out to watch Saman fight too, and once Hester was here.
Alums. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we had a few of the other guys running around. Kelvin was here. I never got to see him, by the way. He owes me a picture. I told him that he owed me one, but he never got around to it. Now that he's all big dog and top 10 and stuff,
Telling you, ego on these guys.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he big dogged me, but it's okay. I understand. He's got so many people trying to get his attention. But came out, did that thing, and a couple of producers, we hung out, and we were just having a good time. The funny thing of it is we're saying hey to everybody that are other fighters and stuff. And, Clint's still taking pictures everywhere. Dana and all them were around. We went over to Uriah while he was eating his stuff. Pictures are just being snapped everywhere. And I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines. I was like, man, fall from grace. It gives you that drive and motivation again. Being out here with this, I was like, man, I've got to get in there and punch somebody again.
And I can only imagine what your psyche's like, because you've been training steadily for what seems like ever now. So even any break, you've got to be just chippy as fuck, at least in traffic.
Dude, doing physical therapy for a while, it took me to get to physical therapy to where I could even make any progress, because we were doing things for 3 weeks. I had absolutely no progress. I would still get, numbness run down my arm. I had sharp shooting pains that would start at the base of my skull, and it would just run down through my traps, my shoulder, down to my fingers. My arm would go numb, and I'd have, the middle of my back would just have these fire pains going through. It was something disheartening. I'm like, dude, I feel great until all of a sudden I just can't move.
Yeah.
So it was the most awkward injury ever. And you feel like I had a little girl, I think it was like 3 days after my fight, and I'm still stiff, just because I'm not moving right because of the numbness, everything's coming through. And she's a little 8-year-old girl goes, do you need a tater hug? Because we call her Tater Tot. She's like, do you need a tater hug? I was like, I definitely need a tater hug. She came over and gave me a hug on the neck, not thinking, I screamed and scared the shit out of her because, the pain that ran through me. And she's like, I'm sorry. She didn't mean to hurt me, But like after that, she was all scared to give me a tater hug, and I just wanted it to feel better.
No.
Sad.
So, it's just, you feel like the biggest girl in the world when you're actually hurt with something that's like that.
So, tell us a little bit about UFC 181. Obviously the drive's there. The spectacle of it is huge because, it was a great card. They had a lot of great fights on there. You tell us a little bit about your interpretation. What did you see? What did you like? What you did not like?
All right. Here, the first thing that I did not like, that I did not understand, the crowd was not there. There was so many open seats in there. I thought this would be for sure the most, anticipated sold out event, period.
Two
and there were so
championships
many
on the
open
line.
seats. Oh yeah, and did you see the fights that happened?
Yeah.
Did you watch the way that people were finished? Did you see how hard everybody was out there fighting that night?
It was a brutal night of fights. Good fights. Really
something
good.
That you don't get to witness. I don't care of any other UFC card. The end of the year cards always take precedence to anything else you're going to see.
And is it a testament to that card that the Fight Pass prelim ended up getting fight of the night?
Oh, I'm telling you, I was watching these fights going, and I told my buddies that were here from Wichita Falls that came out for the fights also. I said, listen, guys, I said, you don't want to be late to these fights. I was like, that first fight with Clay Collard, that's going to be a fight. That kid just likes to walk forward and eat punches and throw them back. I was like, you want to see a fight? It's the first one. We all got there. I think I got there halfway through the second round, and they both just beat their crap already. It's like, well, I missed the good stuff. No, I didn't. They finished the fight out like that. So I was super stoked, man. Like, every fighter's crazy. And then Raquel goes out there, in her fight and chokes this chick to sleep like a gorilla. And that's what I was putting. Everybody's like, they got the bulldog choke. I was like, I'm calling it a gorilla choke. So it was just nasty. Then Uriah finishes off the same way. I just couldn't believe it. Obviously, the eye poke came into play and things like that. But still, to see the things that happened and then watch my boy Josh Saman land head kick of the freaking year. Holy crap.
What is it with that season of Tough and the leg kicks? You guys love them. That's now Uriah's is going to get played right next to Josh Salmon's. Like, those were
dude,
brutal.
I'm definitely telling you. I sent Dana and the UFC a few tweets after that, asking him if Josh Saman gets his Harley trophy in the mail for being a Tough 19 champion.
I did, part of me did wonder that if there is kind of a friendly rivalry between Tough casts, because
I'm gonna tell you what, there's a rivalry with me on anybody in any other cast. Just like whenever it was, I was supposed to, originally be on season 11, and I fought Brad, and then ended up losing. That hurt me because season 17 is obviously the greatest season. Period.
Obviously.
Don't you agree, boys? Agree with me.
Come on, undebatable. Best season.
Hey, thank you. I'm glad y'all see it. I'm glad y'all see it the same way that I did.
Obviously.
But yeah, definitely. Any other season I watch that's in our weight class, anything like that, of course. Like even season 19, period. My buddy Hector Urbina was on there, and it's one of those things too. Like I still feel like everybody in our cast was better than everybody on that cast. It's just the way I feel about it. So it's a rivalry thing.
You guys had one of the last interesting seasons. We've been trying to make the most of the 1 minute reviews. We didn't even do one for this season just because we've been A, so busy, and B, even Fox Sports 1 has been like, are we going to put this on? Maybe. We don't have to put it on this week. Bubba, I know we've been talking
about this season, and they can't keep anybody interested, so it is what it is.
Well, Bubba, I do have to ask you this. This is an important question for UFC 181. Who won the main event?
Correct. All right, I'm going to tell you like this. Whoever you scored round 1 for won the fight.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay, round one in my head was, a lot of people saw Robbie coming out there like a ball of fire and never thought anything else. Me, on the other hand, though, I saw a lot of points scored in the first minute and a half of the fight. I saw that, but I saw it slow down, and Johnny hit 2 takedowns and control the rest of the round, too, though. Now, how do you score that? Do you go off of the guy that had a good 3.5 minutes or a guy that had a fantastic minute and a half? You know what I mean?
Well, here's where we're going to get into it.
Well put, by the way. I think that's well broke down, though. If you're really looking at like the whole juxt of the fight, that's a good way of putting it.
But, I mean, the hardest part for us, and this really comes into play in the later rounds, I thought the biggest contention round was round 4. Round 1, I had it scored for Lawler. And I think it's because, and especially it became prevalent later, those takedowns were just not necessarily takedowns. They were more so strategy of getting to the cage or kind of pushing around. And I can make a case that one great takedown in round 1, absolutely great. But I thought Robbie at least was pushing the action in that first round. So that's kind of where I go. I think in that 4th round, Johnny was actually kind of...
In my head, I had it scored. I scored it for Robbie and that's what people said. They're like, you're biased. And past that, I'm biased for Robbie too, though. I was honestly trying to watch it as of what time is it? How much time has somebody been in control? How many points were scored? Things like that. So I scored it for Johnny, but I said, man, it could have been Robbie's. That's what I said. Then round 2 and 3 came about, and I thought those were both Johnny rounds. So at that point, I thought, well, Johnny's probably got this fight won. Just because, at that point, normally if it's a close round, they give the fight to the champion or the round to the champ. That's just the way I've experienced it. That's what happened in GSP GSP Hendricks fight, in my opinion. They gave the close rounds to GSP. So, and then the last two, I thought, yeah, Robbie won the last two hands down. Well, then, the scorecards came about. I heard 48-47 twice. I was like, well, that sounds about right. I can understand that. Whatever judge feels out what round one was. Then I hear 49-46.
49-46.
Are you fucking
you weren't in
insane?
our household because you didn't hear me and Kevin yell out at the exact same time. Who the fuck do you think you are, 49-46?
What fight were they watching? I want to see that fight, too.
I mean, it's
the only
just
round
ridiculous.
that 49-46 card actually gave out to, I believe it was Johnny Hendricks, was round 3.
Right. I mean,
so think about that for a second. That's insane.
That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous in my head.
I will tell you this, Bubba,
don't get me
because
wrong.
of that. No, you go.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was going to tell you this. Kevin and I were so infuriated and potentially drunk that we ended up recording our round-by-round reactions afterwards. We literally took the fight round by round and continued drinking and scoring our surprise, awe, shock confirmations throughout the fight. So we actually had to do a creation video for that because we were like, what the hell did we just see? Under what normal UFC rules we're used to, that didn't seem to fit the judging we've seen before. So,
right. And was Cecil involved? I don't know. Was he a judge?
You know what? Just whenever you don't know a judge is there, it's always safe to assume you have 50-50 on getting your results back that Cecil was involved in some way.
Was it? God, that just makes sense now. Makes absolute sense.
People can find our video reaction all about on our YouTube page. Bubba, put yourself in a mindset when a few people first contact you while you're in the tough house. They're like, hey, Bubba, we want you to come on a podcast. You don't know them. You have no idea what's going on. What are you thinking? And this is, about 74 episodes ago of the 100. I guess probably more than that, about 86. What's going through your mind?
Well, here's the thing. Wasn't it me that actually tweeted y'all back first? That liked your podcast first? Yeah. I remember thinking, these guys are actually pretty damn funny. I wonder what the hell they'd say to me if I was on there. And then, got the call of, would you be on the podcast? I'm like, yeah. Because what you think, and you're wondering, like, what would happen, with the guy that, because, the 1 minute reviews were just absolutely hysterical then. If you haven't heard any of the other episodes from the earlier stuff, like, you need to go back to the first few episodes and listen to the tough 1 minute reviews. Sometimes they turn out to be 5 minute reviews, but totally worth the listen.
Balance vindicated on air.
Misleading the witness and the jury. Bubba, when you say this, though, what did you think my reaction was going to be when you were on the podcast? Did you think that I was going to tone it down and become your best friend and be like, I can't make fun of you, sir. Sorry.
No, I thought I'd get roasted all the hell, but it was really funny at the respect I did get. But the roasting ended up coming into play a little bit again after that. Once y'all realized I wasn't really taking up offense to it, and I'm not that asshole that was on TV.
Yeah, once we realized they were cutting you as the villain, which took about 10 minutes of conversation, it was like, well, he's getting, and I think it was just because you were willing to at least be lippy, which was awesome. But that's just your countryside. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what they call the fighting side in me.
I remember telling Kevin the very first second, I was like, Kev, I think we have a guest. And Kev goes, how do we do those? And I go, I don't know. We were just ready to do impressions of people forever. And actually talk with somebody seemed like a risky endeavor for us. And then all of a sudden, you find, like you said, you're not how you're depicted on TV. You're this nice, super great guy who is not only just lovable, but one of the people who over the 100 episodes that we've done, we could call on a whim and be like, hey, do you mind filling in for this week? And you'd do it. You'd find and you'd make the time for us. And that's something that we've always appreciated. Yeah. But Bubba, I got to tell you, this is a big occasion for you as well. This marks your 10th time on the podcast, thus making you the person with the most appearances. You are the first member of the 10 club here on the podcast.
10 Timers Club. This is fantastic.
I feel like I should get one of those SNL episode things like they did for freaking Tom Hanks and all them, you know? But I'm in double digits, baby. Double digits.
It's the 10 Timers Club. As soon as we get Tom Hanks to come and pull through, you will have one of those jackets.
I was like, we will make jackets guaranteed if Tom Hanks gets his 10th appearance. There's zero. In the meantime, we'll just keep sending you a free shirt when we make them. That'll be
I'm completely cool with that. You know, I enjoy funny T-shirts.
Yeah, including ours. Well, Bubba, we wanted to bring you on, obviously, chat with you, see how you were doing. Glad to hear you're cleared again. Can't wait to see you fight, because one thing we always know about Bubba McDaniel, if somebody doesn't get knocked out, it's not going to be because they didn't try. Like, you try, you don't ever like your fights to go the distance. You're willing to kick or throw a punch that might not be the safest, because you like the fight to end. That's a good thing. That's a good thing in a fighter. We really appreciate you coming on all the 9 times beforehand, and we will continue to keep up with you and see how you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. Man, it's been a crazy up and down road, and you guys have always had my back, and we haven't talked for here again in the last little bit, but as soon as I heard y'all were having the 100th episode, and you asked me on it, I was stoked. It's one of those things. You guys are friends for life for me, and I appreciate just being on the podcast at all.
Well, it's always our pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, 10th time inaugural member of the 10th Timers Club. That's got to go on a Wikipedia entry, I feel like, as soon as we start editing those notes.
I'll put it up, and no matter how many times I try and take it down, I'll keep putting it back up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bubba the Menace, Bubbasaurus McDaniel.
Yee!
Verbal Tap Podcast. This is Amici from BJJTrainingJournal.com, and not only do I want to congratulate you on your 100th episode of the podcast, but also for consistently delivering legitimately funny stuff. I don't know how you land some of the guests that you get, but I probably don't want to know how the sausage is made, so I'll just continue to enjoy your shenanigans. Peace out, Girl Scout. I love you guys.
What's up, guys? This is T-Money. Verbal Tap Podcast at its centennial. 100 episodes, 100 podcasts, 100 times. That's amazing, guys. I call you to thank you and to congratulate you. 100's a big deal. Andre the Giant would drink over 100 beers in a sitting. Arnold Schwarzenegger goes 100% all the time. I'm pretty sure there's over 100 days in a year. So 100's a big deal, and you guys made it. So keep doing what you're doing, kicking ass on the podcast waves. Listen to them all the time. They're fantastic. You guys are funny. Not smart sometimes, smart other times. But regardless, fantastic. Verbal Tap Podcast. Love you guys. Keep it up. Thank you. Goodbye.
Raph Esparza, 99 episodes down. Pass it down. Listen around. 100 podcasts on the wall. How are you feeling post Karyn Bryant?
Yeah.
Bruce Buffer.
Yeah.
Bubba the Menace McDaniel, and all of these amazing friends of ours leaving voicemails?
I'm feeling deceptively appreciated.
deceptively appreciated. I'm
Yep.
feeling downright emotional. I'm about
Yeah, I
to have
know.
a cry fit over here. Brandon McCatherine sings us a song.
Oh, beautiful song.
Maybe it took a few connotation and liberties, but I can't argue that it wasn't pretty factual. I mean, I obviously...
I don't know a lot about Greek mythology, but when I hear Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't really think about it. I just think about the song sounds pretty. So it's a good song. So as long as I think of Brandon stuff like that, I think it's in the same vein.
I love that idea. So I'm in. I'm absolutely in with that. That means it's time for some shout-outs.
Absolutely.
Do you want me to lead this off? I can lead this off.
You gonna? Okay. Why don't you lead it?
I'm gonna lead it off. Of course, to the crew out there at BJJMA Academy of Chantilly, VA. Big thanks for all the support over 99, 100, and can't wait to get back to training with y'all after my California Jiu-Jitsu seminar experience. A week of getting the hell beat out of me in a great way. We're going to talk about that, but please check out BJJ Finder. Help us with the website. Help you locating jiu-jitsu schools. BJJ Finder. Download it on the App Store. Plug in your zip code. Find gyms near you trained, run by an MMA black belt. You've got to check it out. Whew. Raph, y'all don't fuck around in California.
Why is that?
For sure. I am... Every inch of my body was tired as I returned from my 4-gym and 4-day trip in LA. Big shout out to Amici Akpom from BJJ Training Journal for taking us over to Nino Shembry's. If you don't know Nino Shembry, welcome to Jiu-Jitsu because he's a legend. He's amazing. It was such a cool experience. We got to take an awesome class, then we got to stick around and roll, and those guys are killers.
Great role. That was absolutely great.
Unbelievable role.
Man, so much fun, and it's cool when Kevin and I get to actually trade notes and share intel and information when we are training with each other. So it's even better when you have great instruction. And even still then, Kevin and I have two varied interpretations of, oh, this is cool, this would be great for this, and this is great for this. And all of that stems from having really good instruction over there. So to Amici, Nino, all of the people who train there, their instructors, I mean, they just welcomed us right away.
Absolutely, they did. And you and I got to drill together a little bit. Tons of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was Wednesday. You're going to do Thursday shout-outs, but Friday we were over at VMAC. Big thanks to John Budd, of course, for letting me come hang out. Marcelo was teaching. Very cool class. He's very attentive to his students. It was the night before the big Jean-Jacques in-house tournament, which I saw a lot of videos of, and I'm really stoked. Thanks, Jiu-Jitsu World, for taking such videos and letting us see that stuff, even if we're not there. But it was a really cool class. I got to roll with you, Zach. Loved it. Carlos, mean grip. Octavio, a beast. Got to finally meet Alex, whom I owe a bet to because I lost the UFC picks. Tons of fun training up at your gym. We even stuck around and had a little strawberry ale, which was awesome. Bonnie brought some strawberry ale, which was great. That's nothing better after training.
Yeah, you do find that they're like, sometimes this is indicative of any good training session. Somebody will go, hey, does anybody want this? And you go, yes. You don't even think about it. You just say, yeah, and then you have it, strawberry ale, and it's actually really delicious and refreshing after
Shortly
that.
before, big thanks to Taco Lady. I don't know her name. I didn't catch it. But
That's
Taco
her
Lady
name.
outside of Raf's gym is the best.
So I had told Kevin, I said, Kev, if you really want to experience what it's like to train like me on a Friday night, if I do go to VMAC, you got to go to Taco Lady.
Yeah.
And I was like, but are you hungry? And Kevin goes, And I go, I know we've already had tacos today, but we're going to do it again. Taco Lady's a different experience. And what was your reaction after, Kevin?
Let's do this. Absolutely. Sign me up.
And then what did you think of Taco Lady's performance?
Oh, she was phenomenal. Those tacos were the bomb.
So very, very good
and
stuff there.
final shout out, big thanks to you and your lovely fiance Kelly for hosting me for 2.5 days.
That's not a problem.
We had a blast.
Yes. She enjoyed having you around, and the two of you giggling together all the time is thoroughly entertaining to her. Not to me, but to her. Guys, I want to tell you guys about a few places. I did get to train with Kevin on those 4 days, and that was a lot of fun. But before then, I actually, about a week ago, Kevin and I did something very similar, which was we told all of the people we train with to get us ready, just to have us be prepared. Because we're like, okay, beat the fuck out of us, that's fine. I didn't know I was going to Jean-Jacques Machado's. One might say I was bamboozled being taken there.
Say that.
Our good friend Alex, who you got to roll with, was like, yeah, or, hey, I'm training. I go, dude, if you're training today, I'd love to go. And I thought he was going to a different place because he'll go to a couple different places. Before I know it, we're talking in the car, and I look around, and I see, oh, I'm at Jean-Jacques Machado's. Oh, I was not expecting this. I've been bamboozled. This is, whoa, okay, all right. That doesn't change too much because you're just going there to train. But, it's kind of a big deal, especially when the person who greets you at the door is Jean-Jacques Machado himself, who sees me and sees me without my camera and my microphone, is like, what, no recording today? Come on. And you immediately feel great. And since we're kind of a sub-school of Jean-Jacques over at Valley Martial Arts Center, and all of our people who train there and the people who I learned from, it was a real big blast to get to experience what a class taught by Jean-Jacques is. And it is epic. It is amazing. And the people who roll there are, oh my God, Kev, they are killers. They are. This is the whole thing. I was like, I think they're going to kill me before Kevin gets here. I think they're absolutely going to murder me. And then by the time Kevin gets here, I'm going to be like, hey, let's roll. Wait, I can't move. So you can just have mount because I can't move. So, yay. My thanks to them.
I just want to be clear about that.
It won't happen. But I will say it is refreshing that they treated me so nicely, and I appreciate that. And I definitely will go back there. And they had a great charity tournament that happened this weekend, and a lot of the guys from our school did well, and a lot of people in the community who I know had some really great matches that I've seen online. So I just want to say thanks to everybody at Jean-Jacques, including Jean-Jacques himself. It was amazing. He ended up taking a picture with me. So to him and Alex, I want to say thank you guys for making that happen. That was really great, and I will be back soon. So we go to Nito Schembry's. That was amazing. The next night, Kevin and I go out to Systems Training Center. So, Kev, what was your expectation going into Systems Training Center?
I was going to get murdered by multiple people that are MMA fighters.
And how different was that from the reality?
Not at all different. I got murdered by several MMA fighters.
It's fun because, Kevin and I we have a podcast, and we love talking about jiu-jitsu. So inherently, maybe you heard of it. So people naturally they want to train with us, and that's great. And they don't get to train with us at the same spot ever. So I told Kevin, I was like, it was like having a murderer's row just waiting for the both of us. Like if they got done with Kevin, they're like, you done with him yet? Okay, give me the brown one, and I'll take care of this one. Yeah, it's great.
Like the new guy on the cell block.
They did seem to have their way with you like one. But, guys, it was fun. And our thanks to Emil, Marcus, Dima, Albert, Vince.
Absolutely.
Such great people.
It was a cool class. It was a great no-gi class, and we got a chance to watch Marcus teach beforehand. Marcus Koval is first-rate instructor, and his fucking roundhouse kicks are no joke. He can throw a bomb. So please, and we watched Dimitri Gersmuf do a little big bearded kickboxing as we were taking off, and great instruction, great gym vibe. Check out Systems Training Center in Hawthorne if you
Absolutely. Great place, great instruction. VMAC was cool. I also want to thank the people who helped us on that day. We had Mick Millman, our buddy over at People Who Train, who captured a great shot of me and Kevin I mean, wow.
Mick Millman and Briggs. Let's just be clear about who we're giving.
The dog definitely played a role as well. But Mick is definitely the guy behind the People Who Train project. Kevin and I went to go participate. And Mick couldn't have been a better photog and host. He was really nice to us. So our thanks to him as well. And our good friend, Billy Campagna. Billy is one of the funnest shoots I think Kevin and I have ever done. Not that we've done a lot, but I mean, it was amazing. It was just, he got some really cool photos that we're getting, and that now we'll have official photos for the podcast. And we're stoked to be able to say that that's a thing. So Billy was really cool. We'll try and get those up for you guys at some point. I don't know, whenever. But the next day, Kevin and I made our way out to 10th Planet Riverside for a seminar. Kev, tell me what you wanted what did you ask for?
Okay, the exact conversation we had was, I was like, Raph, it would be awesome if we could go to a black belt, like a high-level black belt. Maybe someone competing is what I meant by high level. He understood the context. I was like, somebody competing now, a seminar, obviously he knows I have an affinity for seeing a lot of Atos, a lot of Art of Jiu-Jitsu, Costa Mesa, and the third one that I really am intrigued by is 10th Planet. Those three gyms I mentioned frequently. And he was like, okay. Maybe 7 minutes later, you send me a Facebook message being like, great news on the seminar front. I was like, what? He's like, well, there is an Atos black belt. She got her black belt from Andre Galval, who currently is with the competition team at Art of Jiu-Jitsu, doing a seminar at 10th Planet in Riverside. And that was essentially what we got to do on Saturday.
And it was fun. It was really cool. And our thanks to Chelsea Bramridge Donner. We not only got to do the seminar, we did a little coverage, so we got a little bit of footage of stuff that we got to do. Kevin got to interview her. It was pretty good. Not as good as I would have done, but it was pretty good.
It wasn't as good as you did.
I mean,
great interview, though. She's awesome.
Absolutely. And she's a great competitor, and she was putting it to everybody that she gets to train with. This is what I love about Chelsea's seminar, and I told you this before. She rolls with everybody who wants to roll with her. And there's a lot of seminars that don't have that happen, but she likes to stay fresh and current, and you can see the competitive drive in her. And I'll say it like I said with Gary Tonin. When you roll with her, you're learning. And there is a very, very distinct way that you pick up things, and she's figured it out. So her instruction is top-notch. If you guys get the chance to take a seminar from her, do it. You will come away with some of the sickest moves that the people at your gym are going to look at you and say, how'd you do that? And you'll say, I don't know. I just accidentally got that move. It's weird. Thanks, Chelsea.
Beeswax.
None of your beeswax. But, so my thanks to everybody there. And let's go ahead and close out with this. I want to say thank you to Kevin for coming on out. It just so happened that it was going to be him coming out for his work, and that just happened to coincide with our 100th episode. And we did our schedule to work around it so that we would release it at the same time. And, the funnest part about doing this podcast is you want a good co-pilot who is not afraid to laugh at themselves, who's not afraid to take the unpopular opinion, or who's not afraid to look stupid. And Kevin does that consistently, and that is a very admirable trait, and it's hard to find somebody that you like working with on and off, recording. So I very much lucked out in finding a good person who we joke around like we do off air, and I think it shows, and I think that's why it's one of the funnest things I get to do. So much like our last commitment that we did to you guys is we're going to continue doing this as long as it's fun. We're going to keep bringing you good guests. We're going to keep making a commitment to making something entirely different than hopefully what else you hear on other podcasts and shows. But our biggest thanks to all of you guys who have listened. There are so many of you who have been there since day one, and you make it really easy for us to work because you're passionate, and you tell people about us, and you fight people for us, which is insane. I don't ever get that, but it's a truly remarkable and humbling thing to know that this thing has had a shelf life that has exceeded, I guess, either of our expectations, and has afforded us so many great opportunities and fun experiences, and our, I guess, relatively short lives in MMA and training BJJ, but relatively, I'd say. I mean, comparatively, when you get all these people who go, I remember when matches weren't decided by advantages.
Absolutely. To think that there were even people that were sending faxes once upon a time. You and I don't even know what those are.
What's that?
But it's been an unbelievable 100. I can't wait to see you at 101, Rafa Esparza.
I can.
Okay. Well, people can join in on all the fun and pain at Verbal Tapcast on Twitter, at Verbal Tapcast YouTube. You can see a ton of the videos we've released done, including our response to UFC 181, which, dare I say, is the best response in the fucking world. Are you with me on that? Do you think it's the best in the world?
When you say dare I say and then you say it, it's like you did say it, so there's not really anything else to comment about because you did say it.
Dare me to say it again. Best response in the world. Check all that out, but that's going to do it for us tonight here at Verbal Tap. I'm Kevin. Thank you for listening.
Good night and good fight.
You couldn't go with me on the best thing people have ever heard? It had to be a different
why? No, because it didn't make any sense. Like,
the
you
moment's over, Kevin. I said I was happy about 100, and now we're moving on. That's what
but like, I can be happy to work with you and still call you out on your shit. That's the dynamic of the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for... I've been asking you to explain it to me for 2 years, and now you finally chime in with a clear, concise message.
They're not mutually exclusive ideas. You know what I mean? Like, they can coincide and they can break. It's the beauty of making a podcast.